Slow anyway.
I think we had a.
Hope it gets going again.
Screen. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I can. Sure, sure.
Yours. I got one right here.
I got extras in the back if you need. There are them. If we need any. Relief. I got extras. Try to keep running. Anybody want some down
I
there?
had a cold blast. Duckies. She wants the cookies, not the lozenges.
Sorry, no cookies. Just lozenges. You guys want any extras? Good.
Says city council on there.
I don't.
Should have taken one. I will.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the December 16th regular city council meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Miller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Beauchamp here. Goodlow here. Lilquist
Here.
Elliott
Here.
Miller
Here.
Palmer
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Okay, so before we begin, I'm going to read a statement. I would like to frame the conversation for one of our agenda items. Ellensburg is a community that cares for all members of the public and wants people to feel a sense of belonging. The City Council voted to remove public funding for a school-based program supporting local LGBTQ plus teens. This decision was made to consider this option after obvious strong opinions were shared on both sides of the issue. That led to the council discussing internal controls and rules for a program the city would not control. This was a failure on my part. As mayor, part of my job is to ensure that the conversations we have in public meetings stay focused on agenda items. A motion to exclude funding was made and approved. I, and I believe other council members also, were confident that the program would still be funded, just that the funding would come privately through council members. Our community has shared a commitment to acknowledge and support all diversity, whether age, skin color, gender, identity, sexual orientation, religion, or disability. Additionally, diversity also covers opinions, ideology, and beliefs. This means that we listen to each other. This makes us stronger. While the vote passed to defund the Pizza Clutch program next year, I was impressed with how the community rallied for the program, raising more than $5,000 in a GoFundMe campaign that far surpasses the original funding request. This represents the supportive spirit in Ellensburg. As we move forward tonight with our meeting, you will see on the agenda we will be discussing this issue once again, and I anticipate the council may reconsider its vote from the last meeting. If that occurs, we will be discussing whether to fund the program or not. We will not be discussing internal controls or the efficacy of the program other than its value in promoting diversity. I will manage public and council comments that deviate from the agenda item by reminding the speaker to stay on topic. If that is not possible, I have the responsibility to discontinue that speaker's comments. I encourage everyone to be thoughtful and respectful. Your Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission meets the second Tuesday of each month here in the council chambers. We also do provide a virtual option, and we welcome your participation at those meetings. So we have the balance of the agenda to get through, I'm guessing, until we get to the topic most of you are here for. We have no proclamations, awards, or recognition, so we will move to approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We move on to item 6A, page 82 in the packet. This is approving reappointments to a number of committees and commissions.
Thank you, Mayor. Heidi Barron, Sternaway City Manager. You have before you 3 sets of recommendations. The first is from the Affordable Housing Commission to reappoint Peter Stone and Sarah Bedsall to the Affordable Housing Commission. I understand Peter is online. Richard Cyril to the Civil Service Commission, and to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, we have Stephen Townsend, Lacey Dawson, and Carmen Wiggins. None of the rest are available tonight to join you.
We'll start. You said Mr. Cyril. Who was the one on affordable housing?
Peter Stone, I believe, is online.
Mr. Stone, you are not required to, but if you would like to comment on your reappointment, that option is available to you.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to check in since if you had any questions, but no, I didn't have any comments. Thank you very much.
Council, any questions for Mr. Stone? No, thank you. And who was the other one that was online?
I believe that's the only person we had online from the
Okay,
list.
and nobody's in the audience that was named? Okay, Council.
Peter, Sarah have done a great job, so I motion for the recommendation for reappointments.
Second.
We can do these all at once for all three.
You can. Did you want to do public comment at all?
Yeah, we can do that as well. Any comment on these reappointments to these commissions or committees? Anything online? Okay, so we have a motion second for a blanket reappointment for all of those positions that are listed in the packet, starting on page 82. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We're going to move to item 7. We have both online and potentially audience members who wish to speak. So these are the rules for comments on non-agenda items. So if you are online, you'll raise your virtual hand or you'll hit the, what's it say? Star 9. Thing got changed. And I will acknowledge you and we will mix those comments in. Each speaker's comments are limited to 3 minutes. The total time allotted for this agenda item is 30 minutes, which can be extended by a vote of the city council. The item that you wish to speak of must pertain to city business and must be a matter over which the council has control, and it must not be on the current agenda. Speakers may not identify themselves as candidates for elective or public office or make any statements which assist or discuss the campaign of a candidate or elective office or discuss a campaign for or against a ballot proposition. It's not relevant today. Speakers provide comments on non-agenda items and may only address the council on those items which we have control over. When you come up to the podium, please state your name and whether you live in Ellensburg, Kittitas County, or elsewhere. State whether you're representing yourself or others, and state the topic upon which you wish to speak before making comments. Speakers are cautioned not to engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the council meeting. Please note that council rules provide no action will be taken at the council meeting at which a subject is first introduced during the comment period on non-agenda items. We may provide you brief feedback when that makes sense to do so. So we'll start with the audience. These are non-agenda items. Does anybody in the audience wish to speak? Okay, and I have a number of people signed up offline or online, excuse me. I know we have Olive McMinn. Not online. Okay, we will skip.
There she is.
I think she's here.
Oh,
Mute. Oh, hello. Now can you hear me?
yes.
Well, I'm no technocrat, as you can tell. Yes, my name is Paula McMinn. I live in Ellensburg, the city of Ellensburg. And I just wanted to talk to you about fluoride. It may be a mute question because the EPA is looking into it and is recommending that you at least reduce the amount of fluoride you put in our city water. However, I want to direct you to the package I gave you. The first page in front of you is provided called Fluoride's Neurotoxicity, and it has a number of references and scientific papers on the backside that support the claims that fluoride is indeed a toxic substance. Fluoride is an industrial waste product made by the manufacturer of aluminum phosphate used in fertilizer, iron ore, steel, cement, and nuclear weapons manufacturing. It is associated with arthritis, bone fractures, cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopment disorders, and thyroid disease. There is naturally occurring fluoride called calcium fluoride, and it is usually found in soil. The other sodium fluoride used in our city water comes from industrial waste. There is, on the last page, there are some places that you can visit, and we'll talk more about these two different kinds of fluoride if you're interested. And that page is called Where to Watch and Visit Learn page, included in your packet. The most common types of fluoride added to drinking water is sodium fluoride, a synthetic industrial version of fluoride, and is far more harmful. It is found in consumer products, pesticides, drinking water, contains cancer-causing properties. In pure form, sodium fluoride is actually capable of eating through concrete and also corroding pipes used in water facilities. Sodium fluoride was first used within our country's tap water system in 1945 and has been since renamed fluorosilicic acid. See the explanation again of the different types of fluoride on the last page of your packet. Most importantly is the risk to our most vulnerable populations. Newborns and the elderly, and the very same kind of population that is at risk. This is an aside here, with CW's use of leaded fuel in their flight school program that has repeated flight patterns over that vulnerable population, and for which EPA was supposed to make a determination about leaded fuel in 2023. But it is another subject, and I will bring it up at some later date. Since the fluoride we use in our drinking water comes from toxic manufacturing processes, we must ask who benefits by its use. And lastly, and there is a page that talks to you about the efficacy of fluoride in our water as far as the claim that it helps strengthen our teeth. You will find if you look through these this material I gave you that it has no efficacy. And in fact, the NIH, now retired NIH president, has a 6-minute video. I give you a list of that on that back page as well. And she says, you know, maybe don't even use it at all. And if RFK Jr. gets in there, I think that he's going to ask that you quit using fluoride in municipal waters. Okay, so lastly, the end page is a site where you have access to all the materials I provided, plus videos and materials you can print out to explain to citizens while you are discontinuing your fluoridation program, which I hope you do, including PDFs to warn mothers of all new infants how to avoid fluoride.
Ms. McMahon, I'm sorry, we cut you off at 3 minutes. We're going to have a full slate and we're going to stick to the 3 minutes. So thank you for your comments. So I have a Russell Rika. Apologize if I got that backwards either way. But intends to speak to the DEI Commission, so we'll skip over. Jody Hanson, Dave Anderson don't indicate that they're wanting to comment. And I have an M. Ilatambi O'Brien, and that would be indicated that it's an agenda item. So is that 10A or do you want to speak on number 7?
It's 10A.
Some DEI commission.
It's okay, both DEI commissions, okay. Kaylin Reed, excuse me. Not on. Sarah Feeney. Okay. And Mr. Duncan appears to want to speak to the issue on 10A. Anybody else online that wants to speak on non-agenda items? I guess we can't consider that because they didn't sign up. Okay. We'll move on. Item 8, public hearings. We have none. We'll move to item 9A, which is page 99. This is second reading and adoption of ordinance 4951. This would potentially amend city code, land development code, and there will be an opportunity for public comment after the staff presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dan Carlson, Community Development Director. This item is an amendment to Ellensburg City Code Title 15, our Land Development Code, to address the new development review timeline requirements of Senate Bill 5290, as well as addressing our FEMA community assistance visit that occurred earlier this year. Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on these items on November 14th and recommended adoption of all of the amendments as presented. The City Council conducted a public hearing on this item on December 2nd and approved the proposed amendments and conducted the first reading of ordinance number 4951. And with that, staff recommends that the council conduct the second reading of ordinance 4951, adopting the code amendments.
Council, any questions of staff? No. Is there any public comment on this item in the audience? Virtually none. So council?
Mr. Mayor, I move second reading and adoption of ordinance 4951 relating to the City of Ellensburg Land Development Code.
Second.
We have a motion second to conduct second reading and adoption of ordinance 4951, amending the Land Development Code, Title 15. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Beauchamp,
Yes.
Goodloe,
Yes.
Milquist.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
Palmer,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
An ordinance relating to the City of Ellensburg Land Development Code, Title 15, amending Chapter 15.130 definitions, amending Chapter 15.210 permit review process types, amending Chapter 15.220 permit review procedures, and amending Chapter 15.630 frequently flooded areas.
Thank you. Item 9B, page 125. This is second reading and potential adoption of ordinance 4952, which would amend the 2023-2024 biennial budget.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Keith Bassett from the City Finance Department. The proposed ordinance amends the budget to reflect changes in operational requirements and adjustments to capital project plans approved through prior council action, along with other modifications to the budget as proposed by the city manager. Many of these adjustments are part of items that have previously been adopted by this council. And this would officially authorize those expenditures. Additional items were identified to maintain programs and projects previously approved by council. I won't restate the summary of supplemental items I provided at your last meeting, the details of which are listed on table 1, beginning on page 127 of the agenda packet, and are summarized on table 2 on page 129 of the agenda packet. Since first reading, one additional item was added to provide expenditure authority for permit review services in the Public Works Department that's offset by development permit revenue. Subsequently, 4 more items were identified that are not printed in the agenda, but would be suitable for supplemental budget consideration and are in the version of tables 1 and 2 and Exhibit B provided on the dais this evening. These 4 items are expenditure authority to close out the stormwater utility bond fund construction program, expenditure authority to accommodate the retainage payment for the Rotary Park Field Lights project, which had been delayed for over a year. The project was adopted last year. Additional expenditure authority for the general facilities fund to pay for realized utility, custodial, and groundskeeping costs. And additional expenditure authority in the Health and Benefits Fund for anticipated additional claims because of the decision to change the city's health benefits coverage. That fund is being wound down, and this helps accommodate that. The amendments in the proposed ordinance include updated revenue forecasts and beginning fund balances as appropriate and maintain anticipated 2024 ending fund balances within the required fund balance thresholds. You conducted first reading of the ordinance at your December 2nd meeting. Staff recommends a motion to conduct second reading and adoption of ordinance 4952, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, questions of staff? No. None. Is there any public comment from the audience that is present? We're spending $128 million. Okay. Anybody online? Oh, that's next year's budget. Okay, council.
Mr. Mayor, I move conduct second reading and adoption of ordinance 4952, amending the 23-24 biennial budget.
Second.
We have a motion second to conduct second reading and adoption ordinance 4952, which amends the 2023-24 biennial budget. Discussion.
I would just like to thank staff in our finance department for the hard work. This was a very heavy lift this year. There's a lot of challenges facing the community and the city, so thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Bochamp,
Yes.
Goodloe,
Yes.
Locust,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
Palmer,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
An ordinance amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget of the City of Ellensburg as set forth in ordinance number 4900 and previously amended as set forth in ordinance number 4923, ordinance number 4934, ordinance number 4940, and ordinance number 4943 to adjust appropriations in the city's funds.
Thank you. Item 9C, page 134. This is a consideration of resolution 2024-35. Which would be a joint resolution with the county approving potential interlocal agreement with the county for court-related services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Terry Weiner, City Attorney. This resolution does relate to an interlocal agreement that has been in existence since 2003 with Kittitas County for court-related services. And those services include a wide variety of court-related matters, including in the lower district court, which is where Ellensburg is located. They essentially run our municipal court. That means they're providing the judge, the courtroom, the bailiff, other staff, as well as probation services, interpreters, and most germane to this resolution, indigent services, indigent defense services. Those are the attorneys that are hired for people who cannot afford their own attorney. That is required by both the Washington state and the federal constitutions. And under law, the city is required to pay for those services on city cases. In the past several years, the Washington Supreme Court has established caseload standards for attorneys who represent indigent defendants. So in other words, in the lower district court, we're talking about misdemeanor cases and gross misdemeanor cases. The Superior Court is for felony cases and does not involve City of Ellensburg filings. Those are filed on behalf of the state. So the caseload restrictions means that the attorneys who represent those indigent defendants are limited to the number of cases they can handle per year, and there's sort of a weighting system depending on the type of case and the charges involved and the potential penalties. Those standards have changed at least once. Currently, they are back under consideration by the Washington Supreme Court on a recommendation from the Washington State Bar. The Supreme Court has held two hearings, public hearings on those proposed standards, and they may be making a decision on that as early as next month. The proposed standards would greatly reduce the caseload standards. So if you reduce the caseload standards, you have to hire more attorneys to represent the indigent defendants. Our interlocal agreement provides that, which again goes back to 2003, provides that in exchange for those services that are being provided by the county to, in essence, run our municipal court, the county collects all of the criminal and fines and penalties and other fees that may attach to a criminal, either conviction or a plea, and those go directly to the county. So in light of the current caseload restrictions, the county developed its own, or excuse me, established its own Department of Public Defense. It was authorized in 2022, and they spent most of 2023 staffing that up. It is a department within the county. They are now pretty much fully staffed. And with that, we've received a request from the county to contribute to the cost of the defense. Currently, they estimate that I think about 50% of the cases in lower district court are city cases. The rest would be cases filed by the county, either directly for the county or on behalf of CWU or the state patrol. So with a 50% caseload, they're using almost 3 full-time equivalent defense attorneys to handle that caseload. And the estimate from the director of the Department of Public Defense is that that's approximately $190,000 worth of attorney time. That does not include benefits. That's wages only. Because the request came sort of late in our budget process, the request they're making for amending the agreement for the contribution for 2025 is $75,000. And obviously, we anticipate that next year we'll be receiving a request for full funding of the positions that they estimate are allocated to city cases. So we're asking the county to track the costs, the revenue that they're taking in on the city cases, those fines and penalties and fees. But I am very confident that they come nowhere near paying for the fees of their staff attorneys. There's, as you can see in there, that they don't collect very much to start off with, and that gets divided up among the various departments. So what's actually paying for municipal court services on behalf of the city is a small slice of that. But they will begin tracking that better in 2025, and so we should have some more numbers later next year. So the request that we're making tonight is for authorizing the joint resolution. This will, if authorized tonight by council, it will go to the county, and then our payment of the $75,000 will be due by January 31st of 2025. So the request is that you adopt resolution 2024-35, authorizing the amendment to the interlocal agreement. And I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council, questions of staff?
Oh, yes.
Anybody in the audience in person wish to comment? Nobody online. Okay, motion, please.
Move to adopt resolution 2024-35, approving the amendment to the interlocal agreement with Kittitas County for court-related services with authorization for the city manager to sign the amendment.
Second.
We have motion second to approve resolution 2024-35 with concurrent authorization for the city manager to sign the amended contract. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. All right, we got to 10A a lot faster than I predicted, so that's a good sign. So if you haven't participated in a city council meeting, we are going to have a presentation by staff, and we are likely going to look for a motion from council, and then we'll go back to the audience so that we actually have something to talk about. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. I'm going to stand hard on the 3 minutes. I'm going to mix in the online people with the in-person people. Please pay attention. Your reaction, potentially, could be upsetting to somebody who feels equally strongly on the other side. So when people are speaking, let's be respectful. If it becomes disruptive, I will manage that part. Okay, Nicole.
Hello, council members. Nicole Klaus, staff to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. At the December 2nd City Council meeting, staff presented the DEI Commission's proposed 2025 spending plan. Council ultimately approved the 2025 spending plan, removing the $1,400 from the Pizza Clutch program to be allocated elsewhere within the DEI Commission's budget and approved by council. The listening tour funding was in the same $1,400 bucket category titled programs and therefore was not approved. Approved at the December 2nd meeting were expenditures in the amount of $8,600, which included $2,500 for events, $5,000 for grants, $300 for administrative costs, $500 for the retreat, and $300 for new events or programs. At the direction of council, the DEI Commission discussed this at their December 10th meeting, and the commission affirmed their desire to provide $400 of the remaining $1,400 to go toward the 2025 listening tour program. The commission voted for the other $1,000 to be placed in reserve until the commission recommends allocating it to a specific activity. This would expand the total amount available for new events and programs to $1,300 in 2025, where expenditures for new programs would be approved by the city council at a later date. The commission has a listening tour set up in January and at CW and would like to have the listening tour funds approved prior to the session so that refreshments may be provided. The suggested motion or action is to approve $400 for the DEI Commission's 2025 listening tour program and $1,000 for the commission's reserve category.
Thank you. Council, questions of staff? Okay, do we have?
Yes. I move that we reconsider the decision made at the December 2nd meeting approving the DEI Commission's 2025 spending plan by amending the plan to include the 1,000 in the funding for Ellensburg High School Pizza Clutch program and 400 for the DEI Commissioning listening tours.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and second to return the $1,000 original budgeted money to the Pizza Clutch program and approve the $400, which was originally slated for a listening tour. Can you just briefly explain how we're doing this reconsider the motion? This is in council rules. Will you just kind of briefly go over that?
Yeah, the council rules provide that any member who voted in the majority on a motion that, or the majority in a motion at the last meeting can vote for, move for reconsideration at the same meeting or the following meeting. So Councilmember Palmer's motion falls within that rule.
And we don't vote on it. It just simply happens, correct? Or do we vote for?
No, you vote on this as it takes
As if it's
precedence
an-
over anything else that's
Gotcha.
pending. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure people understood that part. So no questions of staff now? Okay, so here's how we're going to structure the comments. I'm going to go row by row. So good for you sitting up front. And then I'm going to mix in the virtual commenters. So if you don't want to speak, just give me a wave and I'm going to move past you. So I'm going through the front row.
And Mayor, I can confirm 3 minutes each.
3 minutes each. And I apologize. If I interrupt you for whatever reason, your time will stop and we will restart it. So I will try not to do that unless it's necessary. So anybody in the front row wish to speak? Okay. So again, introduce yourself, resident of the city, county, or otherwise, whether you're speaking for yourself or a group, and then we will start the time.
Hello, my name is Amanda Russert. I live in the city of Ellensburg. I think that was it, right? I am also the director of Helen House, and really just wanted to be the voice for the youth, to show them the community supports them. And really to address the impact of the program of the students, because I think that's what's important. So I did a quick survey, and excuse me, I get nervous talking in front of people. So I did a quick survey of some of the students. I got probably about a third of them. And some of the questions that I asked them was how attending Pizza Clutch impacted their mental health. It definitely is over 80%. It significantly improves their mood. 50% it helps reduce stress or anxiety. And then at least half of them makes them feel supported, but doesn't change their mood necessarily. Other things that I wanted to point out was that some of the things that they specifically said. If you're comfortable, please share how Pizza Clutch has helped your mental health, overall well-being. And people said it is significantly improved by giving them the space to be themselves. They feel more seen. It really helps to know how many people are like them and share their experience. Other things about the parent permission concern that was raised. I asked if they think requiring parent permission could discourage students who most need the program from participating. 100% said yes, absolutely. Do you think Pizza Clutch is more effective because students can choose to attend without parent permission?
So Amanda, I'm just going to stop you there. So the issue in front of us is whether or not we fund it, not the rules associated with the program.
These aren't rules. This is just gathering the actual impact of the students and why it's important for funding and continuing the program.
Okay. But we're not going to impose rules on the school district. So I'm just let you know, keep going.
I'm not talking about any rules, just their perspective and opinions and experience. Other things, basically just the idea universally is that the confidentiality of the program is what allows them to be able and want to go. And then really being able to address the importance of mentorship and representation of the community for the students by adults. It definitely was pretty universal about there being a positive impact by that. So just really wanted to address those things.
We're done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Candace, did you want to speak as well?
Good evening. My name is Candace Comfort, and as stated at the last city council meeting, my family and I live in the Ellensburg School District. Since the night of December 2nd, there has been much discussion on the vote that was taken where it was decided the city would not approve funds for Pizza Clutch at Ellensburg High School. There are many opinions on it both ways, but here's why it was the correct choice. Aside from the fact that using public funds to support Pizza Clutch, a group who states per their website may have facilitators plan a discussion or bring in guest speakers to talk to minor children about gender identity, gender expression, and sexual identity without parental consent is wrong and undermines parents, here's a few more things to consider. Per policy 2153, section 2000 book instruction in the Ellensburg School District policies and procedures under non-curriculum related student groups, line E, it is stated the use of public funds for other than incidental and or monitoring costs will not be permitted. While Helen House has purchased the pizzas in the past, it was still reimbursed by the city with funds designated for Pizza Clutch and is clearly a violation of school policy as it is public funds that are being used for the pizzas. This alone puts an end to the question of if public funds should be used, as they cannot. If there is any doubt past that, I would like to present the activities and clubs list for Ellensburg High School. On the second page, directly below Pizza Clutch, you will find a school-sponsored club called Sexuality and Gender Alliance. Their description states it is a group devoted to bringing a sense of awareness to Ellensburg High School and helping teach others to be tolerant of differences. Their description is very similar to Pizza Clutch's, which states, open to all interested students, fostering resilience in LGBTQ+ youth to create a safe and positive school experience through support, education, and empowerment. The question then becomes, if there is already a school-sponsored group that does not take city funds and is dedicated to the same mission, why would the city feel the need to use public funds to support a second one? Finally, as was stated at the last city council meeting, private funds could be raised for this private club, and they were. A supporter of the group put together a GoFundMe account raising over $6,800 in 2 weeks. In doing this, he was able to show that city council was correct and public funds are not needed. It is normal for private clubs and groups to have to raise their own money, and this group is no different. It has its own opinions and agendas and can and should support those with funds they raise on their own. These key points show that City Council was correct in their decision to not use public funds to support Pizza Clutch, and I applaud City Council for making this choice. Thank you.
Anybody else in the front row? I'm going to go down the side, the three people standing. Are you here to make a public comment? Are you the four? You want to make a public comment? Come up. Nope, I'm sorry. We're going down the side. I'm sorry. I'm just letting the people standing to go.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Barlow. I live in Ellensburg and I host Pizza Clutch in my classroom. And I am also EHS's GSA advisor, which is the Saga Club. And one is a club. Pizza Clutch is not a club, so it doesn't fall under the same jurisdiction as a club. But mostly I'm here because I was really concerned with some of the comments that were made last week, such as youth being directed toward transsexualism.
So we're going to debate whether or not we're going to support the program. Not, okay.
Okay. And it's true that students need parental consent to play sports or go on field trips. And it's true parents can opt their kids out of sex education classes, but students do not need parental consent to join clubs or eat lunch or hang out with friends. And Pizza Clutch is neither a class nor is it a sport. It's being falsely compared if it's called a club or a sport. It is a safe space where kids, and this includes kids whose parents cannot or will not accept them as they are, they can come to hang out and to feel like they have one small place where they belong. The only thing separating kids from parents is if kids come out and are not accepted by their parents. And I'm just curious if you have knowledge of what Ellensburg High School students go through and have to put up with, like the fear and the hate that they experience at school. There are students who don't drink water, so they don't have to use the bathrooms. They don't eat in the cafeteria. They leave classes in tears because of comments. They self-harm. They commit suicide. And not giving students who need it a safe space is dangerously irresponsible. And I don't think that anybody who knows what students go through would ever direct them or push them toward being gay or being trans. Not that you could even do that, but that is not a thing that happens. We are only there to Give students a fun place to hang out and eat free pizza. There are a lot of things to be terrified about, but this is not one of them. So if you're so lucky as to fit into a world that doesn't terrify you, then that is terrific. But don't shame those who don't fit in by spreading rumors and taking away their safe spaces.
Do you want to speak?
Hi, I'm Davey Belo. I'm a student at EHS. I don't personally attend Pizza Clutch, but I did once this last week, and I want to encourage the council and and just in general to understand that what I saw when I attended this event was kids eating pizza. It was just kids eating pizza. These are not kids who feel like they have a safe space elsewhere. And when they go to this event, they go there and they eat pizza. A lot of them talk about how they've been bullied. A lot of them talk about the issues that they're struggling with in their life. A lot of them talk about the friendship that they find from that group. They are not there to discuss, they barely even bring up their sexuality or their gender. They are just people who share a common experience and are together sharing in that experience. And they are at a club, or not a club, because it's not a club, but they are at a lunch eating pizza. I would like to advocate for the program because the program is quite simply teenagers who are friends, who share something in common and have something that unites them and connects them, and they are eating pizza. There is no reason that this program should be cut that is not partisan. There is no reason for it to be cut that saves anything in the budget that cannot be cut elsewhere. There's a $150 million budget in this town every year, and this is a discussion over sparing $1,400. So a bunch of teenagers who are friends can eat pizza on Tuesdays or Tuesdays. Is it Tuesday? Thursdays. It's the same thing. And having a discussion and claiming that these measures need to be cut and that these funds for the Pizza Clutch need to be cut is equivalent to discussing whether or not these kids deserve a safe space to eat pizza with their friends on Thursdays. These are kids who, in my opinion, some of them might not feel comfortable eating in the lunchroom. I'm personally bisexual myself, and I have experienced homophobia at EHS and in my life casually. I'm lucky enough to not experience as much of it as some people. I cannot imagine the pain of not having somewhere to go for lunch and feeling like you are alone. I cannot imagine it. And I think it is irresponsible of this council to the safety of these students, to their mental health, to their well-being. I think it is irresponsible of anyone in this community to advocate against funding this program. It is so kids can eat pizza on Thursdays. Thank you.
Okay, no, hold on, you guys. Let's not do that because, like I said, it's going to create some issues. So, anybody else on standing in the room? We'll address that. So again, here's the issue. I did say in my opening statement, we are looking at the efficacy of the program. So as long as you relate it back to the efficacy of the program, we will entertain those comments. But I understand the concern and let's move through this.
Hi, my name is Richard Wilson. I'm a 25-year-old Ellensburg resident. I actually went to Ellensburg High School for a while. I don't have kids, but I am pretty well connected with a lot of parents, and I don't have a whole lot to say except for I don't feel like it's quite right to use public funds, taxpayer funds to fund something, especially funds of the parents, money coming from the parents, fund something that they don't necessarily have to know about.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move to our first online person, and I have, and again, I apologize, it's either Russell Rika or Rika Russell. RR. That's all they put down. No, online. Oh, there you go. So unmute RR. it's their act, they have to do it. And again, I apologize. It's either Rika Russell or Russell Rika. We're waiting for you to comment. So if you'd unmute and speak, unless you don't want to. Okay, we'll come back to you if you change your mind later. We're going to go to row 2.
Jennifer Hannigan Diebel, and I live in the city of Ellensburg. I'm speaking for myself of my own volition, and my words and ideas are my own. I want to express my anger and disappointment at the decision of this council to remove funding for the pizza clutches at the local high school and to correct some disinformation that was shared by a member of this council. To save time, I've prepared a list of facts and citations to share with you. Much has been said about the secrecy of the Pizza Clutch events, but let's recognize this for what it is, a dog whistle to evoke a reaction from people who think LGBTQ adults are grooming. And I will, it is relevant.
On our funding decision.
Are grooming minors. The truth is that it isn't secrecy. It is
stay focused on funding the program
and sanctuary. I am. Over 40% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered suicide last year. That number is much higher for transgender and non-binary kids, and I should point out that only the kids who survived could be surveyed. Fewer than 40% said that the people in their home affirmed their identity, but when their family is affirming, they experience lower rates of suicide attempts. Only 43% of transgender and gender expansive youth and just over half of cisgender queer kids are out to all of their parents or guardians. 84% of LGB kids and 58% of trans and non-binary kids learned that they were or recognized that they were different before they were 13, so before high school age. To sum up, kids know they are queer before they reach high school. Many of them feel safe and unsupported at home, and when they do not have support and affirmation, their very lives are in danger. I teach in community colleges where many of my students are high school students, and not a single quarter goes by without at least one student thanking me for being openly gay. They feel safer with me there. They feel more like they belong because they know they are not alone. And that is what the Pizza Clutch has provided for these kids. So the idea that high school kids are too young to consider or discuss these issues is clearly wrong-headed. But even more than that, I would like to ask why queer identities are somehow R-rated while cisgender heterosexual identities are appropriate for everyone. When you claim that a teacher shouldn't be thinking about whether they are gay or trans, while not also saying that they shouldn't think of themselves as straight or cis, you are saying that the very identities of queer people are somehow scandalous and more illicit than the identities of straight cisgender people. You are sexualizing these kids, and it is inappropriate, creepy, and gross. I call upon this council to issue a statement affirming the identities of the queer people of this community of all ages and assuring us that we are welcome and appreciated and you will keep us safe within your power. And I ask you to reverse the funding decision, not because the funds are needed, but because the statement to the community was that you were willing to sacrifice the well-being of our vulnerable citizens to appease people who wish we did not exist. Thank you.
Okay, front row again. Did you want to speak? I'm moving down, excuse me, second row, my bad. This is that much fun, just saying.
My name is Cody Natland, and I'm the pastor of Ellensburg United Methodist Church, but I speak on behalf of myself. I'm here to speak to the importance of offering safe, inclusive spaces like the Pizza Clutch and ask for the City Council to reverse their decision about funding. The United States is experiencing what our Attorney General has called an epidemic of isolation and social disconnection, with an alarming number of people experiencing anxiety, depression, and other mental and physical illness as a result. A CDC study in 2023 found that 42% of all high school-aged youth reported experiencing persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness. For LGBTQ+ youth, that number rose to almost 70%. The solution for this is to create opportunities for social connection and fostering deep belonging. Offering opportunities for youth to connect through gatherings like the Pizza Clutch, especially when the students attending are from marginalized communities, is essential for their physical and mental health and for building ongoing support systems and resilience. For LGBTQ+ youth, having this kind of support system in place is often a literal matter of life and death. That same CDC study found that 41% of LGBTQ+ youth seriously considered suicide in the past year, and 20% made at least one attempt. Those numbers go down dramatically when youth are connected to inclusive, supportive community. Unfortunately, families don't always provide that kind of inclusivity, love, and support. Requiring students to have parental permission to attend Pizza Clatch would in some cases force those students to risk safety and well-being. Over 57% of LGBTQ+ youth have experienced rejection by at least one parent. LGBTQ+ youth are 120% more likely to become homeless than their non-LGBTQ+ counterparts, often due to being kicked out of their homes by their parent or guardian. We need to be increasing funding and accessibility for programs like this, not eliminating them. The stated purpose for the DEI Commission grants is, I quote, supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion related educational opportunities, social gathering opportunities, and supporting access to community resources to create a sense of belonging within the community. I believe that the Pizza Clatch is one of the most quintessential needs that the DEI Commission can fund for our community. Additionally, grant applicants are asked to demonstrate awareness of and steps taken to address potential barriers to participation. It's not right for the City Council to ask applicants to eliminate barriers while adding their own barriers. I ask the City Council to support LGBTQ youth in our community and reverse the decision that removed the Pizza Clatch from the budget. Thank you.
Okay, second row, middle.
Hello, my name is Lacey Farrell, and I am a resident of Ellensburg. I am here as a resident of Ellensburg and with two children in Ellensburg Public Schools. I'm speaking in protest of the decision to remove the Helen House Pizza Clatch from the DEI Committee's funding plan for 2025. As a resident of Ellensburg and as a queer person and as a parent of young children, I believe strongly that we as a community need to protect and support the most vulnerable among us. We need to be safe and welcoming and inclusive for all people, regardless of their identities. Helen House is a vitally important institution in our community, as it is one of the spaces where all youth, but especially those who identify as LGBTQIA, can feel safe, welcomed, and included. The Helen House Pizza Clatch, a voluntary event, simply lets our children and youth know that who they are matters, who they are has value, and who they are is loved. Every child deserves this. The Ellensburg City Council is meant to represent the city and act in the best interests of its residents. Residents of Ellensburg include lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual people of all ages. We belong here too, and we deserve to feel safe and supported. I hope that the City Council will work for us. I hope that your decision will help to let us know that even as our lives face growing threats and challenges outside the state, as residents of the city of Ellensburg, we are not alone, and you have our backs. Thank you for your time.
Second row.
Good evening. My name is Geraldine O'Mahony. I'm a resident of Ellensburg, also a parent of two children in the Ellensburg School District, and I'm a commissioner on the Ellensburg City Planning Commission. I am here to express my disappointment and protest against the council's decision to defund the Pizza Clatch program. This decision rests on harmful misconceptions. To call it inappropriate or misuse of funds is to both misunderstand its purpose and its impact. Pizza Clatch is not a class. There is no teaching, no curriculum, no agenda. There is no, it is simply a space where vulnerable students feel seen, safe, and supported in a school district that has already been found by the Department of Justice to have failed in protecting such youth. Queer students face disproportionately high rates of bullying, mental health challenges, and isolation. Programs like Pizza Clatch can be life-saving because they combat these harms through acceptance and community. This is not propaganda, this is care. Furthermore, the DEI Commission exists to foster equity and inclusion in the city. To undermine their efforts by defunding initiatives like Pizza Clatch raises an urgent question. What is the point of having a DEI committee if we refuse to allow them to do the work that we've asked them to do? As a commission member of 5 years, I know how much effort commission members put into their positions. And I know that we as a city rely upon their civic mindedness and goodwill to keep things running. To ignore their recommendations devalues not only the commission, but also the efforts of the committee members. I urge the council to reconsider its decision. Support for vulnerable youth who ask for nothing but the right to exist safely and with dignity is not inappropriate. It is necessary, it is right, and it reflects the values of a city that cares for all of its people. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're getting close to 10% of the way done. So, and thank you guys. This is going well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sillin. I'm a resident of Ellensburg, and I'm speaking largely as a parent of 2 young kids, one already in the school district and one soon to be so. Speaking from that position, I want to emphasize how much I appreciate the City Council reopening the vote and reestablishing the possibility of funding the Pizza Clutch. I recognize as a parent that one of the hardest, most important things that we can do, both in terms of raising our own children and as members of community, is to try to create a greater sense of safety for our children. And so programs like Pizza Clutch that work to do so are essential and strike me as essentially what we should be doing as a city and fostering that sense of community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Phil Backlund. I'm a member of Ellensburg Community, and I also member of the DEI Commission, but I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and not the Commission. I've been resident of Ellensburg since 1979 and raised 3 boys here, and have appreciated the community. I applaud the motion that you have to reconsider the lifting of the funds from the Pizza Clutch. I'm not going to repeat a lot of the things that have been said so far because we've had some great statements, but I'd ask you to think about the impact of your message to the community. In this weekend paper, there was a story about Ellensburg School District and the fact that they had not protected the minorities very well in the school district, and there's charges against them for that. So in making your original decision, what message are you sending to which community? On one hand, there's the LGBT community. On the other hand, according to the paper, there are the bullies that are after them. Your decision could be seen by some people as supporting the bullies. I know you did not intend that. I know you did not mean that. But if you're not supporting the Pizza Clutch, you're saying to that particular group that maybe you're not as important as you think you are. You're not as important in terms of getting some consideration. Maybe they're right. So I would ask you to reconsider and restore the funds, not so much because the money is needed, because obviously now it's not, but the kind of message that you'll be sending to those citizens of this community and to those high school students. Thank you.
Second row. Yep.
Hi, I'm Ellensburg. I just want to say thank you for considering the vote on the Pizza Clutch program. I just want to add that the Pizza Clutch is also a place for kids of queer parents. These kids might not be queer themselves, but they have 2 moms, 2 dads, 2 parents that aren't normal. Those kids need to also have a space to relate. I have 3 boys. I hope that when they get to high school, they will have a program like this because they do have the amazing opportunity to have not 1, but 2 moms. Thank you.
Second row. Oh, there you go.
Hello, Mayor, council members. My name is Lucy Altman Coe. I'm a resident of Ellensburg. I use they, them pronouns. and I attended Ellensburg High School from 2018 to 2022. I was part of the then called the Gay Straight Alliance. It was then my senior year, changed to Sexuality and Gender Alliance. I served as president my final year. High school can be a really hard place to find community, especially for LGBTQ youth. Showing support, not only financial, but social, is important in furthering a sense of togetherness in Ellensburg. To LGBTQ community members, the removal of funding for LGBTQ events and groups feels like a statement reinforcing prejudicial sentiment that remains an issue in Ellensburg, even if that is not the intent. Thus, I encourage you to reflect on this decision as something more than financial, to see it as a way to make a statement on where the City Council stands on the well-being of its LGBTQ residents. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna try one more online here. And so I have M. Latambly O'Brien.
They message me and said they don't have the ability to unmute, but they might.
Thanks, Amber. I just got the option to unmute. Thank you.
Okay.
I am.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, whether you're speaking for yourself or others, or city, county, or other resident, and then we'll start your time.
Great, thank you. I'm Emily Tempe O'Brien. I am a resident of Ellensburg. I'm speaking solely for myself, although I'm on the DEI commission.
Go ahead.
When someone looks up Ellensburg governance this week, they won't see the way many of us try to live and let live, or the many positive initiatives in our town, but articles about how council majority made a hasty decision without pausing to gain evidence or facts, including those related to parental consent, privacy, FERPA, or Title IX, all areas that require expertise. They will see a community responding tenfold to council, implying an adversarial relationship. What a poor representation of Ellensburg when there are other important city issues that are being fully detracted from. This isn't the path forward, regardless of personal belief. Council support for Pizza Clutch used to prove the city's support for addressing bullying in the recent investigation therein. This was a relatively small financial price, and the majority decision had turned it into a significant social one. When the school system, its indomitable staff and teachers need support more than ever, some on council have turned this into a moral debate, invoking studies about transsexualization. For those engaging all versus emotions-based vetted research, this fear-mongering might as well have cited vampires and werewolves. The conversation during this non-curricular activity aren't directed or about gender and sexuality, another misapprehension. The hasty majority vote was made on feeling versus fact and amid an unwillingness to differentiate between Pizza Clutch and Ellensburg and a completely different organization in Thurston County. Of the many specious arguments against the city funding youth well-being, the question of using public funds was raised. I support funding for heritage spaces, but where are the same fiscal concerns about their overall impact? We need more spaces that celebrate the rich diversity of our town, and we need our city to intentionally invest in these to retain residents and families. Council should be proud of the number of city-supported successful initiatives that build an economically engaged and vibrant community for all ages and identities. While actively working on community retention, I've heard families from all political leanings question if the town is safe and welcoming for their kids who aren't within the majority, as we lose families to other towns because of bullying and discrimination, harming our growth and development. I work with and educate parents with conservative beliefs who are glad for their children to have more exposure to other ways of living, because they believe in respect above all else and in providing venues for young folks to interact within school grounds. Pizza Clutch is one such venue, and supervised lunch events at school keep youth from staving off boredom or loneliness elsewhere, unless supervised in more risky places. Many of us in community moved here from smaller towns, have lived here longer than many of you, and have spent years building trust. We support our local economy, our small businesses, and events we hope succeed. In turn, we're the ones folk from all backgrounds turn to when one of their kiddos struggles with being different. Community-first folks know how to negotiate trust. Council's majority vote undoes that good work, grounded in aberrant panic that doesn't represent how community engagement means more than targeted removal of city funds from those trying to live alongside you and yours. Pizza will never harm our youth, but creating irreparable fractures along lines of personal belief absolutely will. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to row 3.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tyene Carnell, Ellensburg resident, 24 years. I am a resident of Ellensburg. I'm also on the DEI Commission. I'm also the founder of Helen House, and I am proud to be one of the folks that helped bring Pizza Clash to the high school. I had a whole bunch of things that I was going to say on my phone, but I want to stay on top with why I think we should continue to, or the city should continue to fund this program. And I'm going to do that for two reasons, or stake that out for two reasons. One is because I'm on I'm on the DEI commission, and the commission was appointed by the city, put into place by the city to do just what it is that we're doing, to raise awareness, education, highlight, folks, organizations, communities that haven't always had a seat at the table. When we're talking about LGBTQ youth in our community, those are folks that always haven't had a seat at the table. One of the things that we've heard over the last couple of weeks when all of this started is that there's been a lot of hateful rhetoric, a lot of hateful language, hateful words that have been brought forth because of the decision that the city made. I want to highlight the fact that we have youth in our community that hear that on a regular basis. It's not nothing new to them. They've heard this before and they'll hear it, and I'm sure that they'll hear it again. One of the things that we talked about when we first started the DEI Commission, laying out what it was that we were going to do, was about building relationships. Who can we build relationships with that we can move this work forward in the community? This is an opportunity for the city, for Helen House, for the school, which I want to applaud the school for supporting this program as well. This is an opportunity to build an excellent relationship with the city, or as the city, in supporting LGBTQ youth in our community. Okay. I think that was all I had to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rhiannon Holwedge. I'm the ASU Senator for the College of Education and Professional Studies, but I am not representing them. I am just representing myself tonight. I spent 4 hours writing a testimony that I feel will no longer do me justice. I need to start by saying I'm not from Ellensburg. I have lived in Ellensburg for a year. I am from Enumclaw, Washington, of which also has this hate problem. Congratulations, this decision from the December 2nd meeting has made national headlines. We are on Metro Weekly. We are on Advocate and multiple LGBTQ plus news networks because of this hateful decision. I am very disappointed to say this, that 57.4% of LGBTQ youth per the Trevor Project and per the Human Rights Campaign out of 13,000 youth are not out to their parents or are only out to one. We don't know whose kids are queer. So this space, this confidential space is necessary. Enumclaw did not have that until my senior year in 2020, and it was through Zoom, and it sucked. I was not able to come out myself. I was forced out at 14 years old, and I've known I was gay since I was 8. That is not something any parent, especially not parents that are conservative, want to hear from their kid. I was nearly killed in high school because I am queer. I had the star quarterback of Enumclaw High School shove me down the stairs where I almost broke my arm. Getting rid of this will cause our kids, our queer kids, to be hurt and to be targeted. I just ask you to reevaluate your decision.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Elliott, council members and staff. My name is Joseph Gabriel Pangan Burke. I'm a constituent of Ellensburg. I work at Apoyo, a Buy4 organization here in our community, but tonight I'm speaking on my own behalf, urging the council to vote in favor of reconsidering their motion to defund the program. 2 years ago, I spoke to Mayor Tab, who emphasized to me that we, as members of our community, and for the folks serving on the city council, need to emphasize a sense of belonging and connection. But when I came to Ellensburg 3 years before that, I didn't feel that sense of belonging or connection. And I'm disappointed in the council's decision earlier this month. I'm disappointed in that decision because I feel that's only reinforced that lack of belonging. As someone who moved here from out of town, I can't imagine what it's like to grow up as a youth of color here in high school, as a student trying to find what it means to be themselves. If the city council truly wishes to support its people and foster belonging here in the city of Ellensburg, the council must vote in favor of reconsidering their decision. The council must fund this program according to the commission's recommendation, and the council must do more for its youth who feel vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dalton Duncan. I have three girls and I'm a father, obviously. And I run a small business here. And I have pulled my children from the public school system. And I disagree with funding the Helen House, and I disagree with funding the pizza clutch thing. I think it's disgusting that we are not informing parents of these things. Thank you.
My name's Claude Lyman, and I'm a resident of Ellensburg. And I want to come up here to say, we've heard plenty of testimonies from a very vocal minority. Rich, I'd appreciate if you could make sure we keep people on the budget. I know that this is a budget issue. It has to have to do with whether people are liked or not liked. As a taxpayer, I want to be in the know where my money goes to. And if I don't personally support a program, I want to know that, and I don't want my money being spent there. That's what I want this to be about. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Thank you for the motion to reconsider your decision from 2 weeks
If you
ago.
could introduce
Sorry,
yourself.
my name is Steve Verhey. I am a resident of Ellensburg. Merry Christmas, and thank you for the motion to reconsider the decision of 2 weeks ago, which was made hastily and based on ignorance and misinformation. I am a professional educator. I teach at a school district, not this one. I think I'm the only professional educator second professional educator to speak. So maybe I'll focus on my area of expertise. I understand to an extent why parents would be concerned with the idea of wanting to be notified about, well, practically anything their student gets up to in school, but that's not how it works. And there is specific guidance from the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction about this issue. OSPI guidance is
Mr.
that-
Berry, we're not going to debate whether or not we notify parents or not. That's a school district decision. We're just going to decide
Well,
whether we
that was
support
in
the
fact
program.
the original reason for the motion. And I'm trying to explain why I was ignorant, but that's okay. I can move on. I have plenty of things to talk about. The question is, does the program provide value for the money? And I think we've heard that it does. The program quite likely saves lives. But this is not about money. This discussion is not about money. Money has been raised. Someone mentioned a GoFundMe. I just checked it. Anyone can do that by going to GoFundMe.com and searching up LGBTQEHS. And the fundraising is about to break $7,000 with around 100 donors. I understand that the ultimate goal is $10,000. That money will be going to Helen House. Others have stepped up. Others in this room have stepped up separately to cover the money for the pizza. This is not about pizza. This is about institutional support for the most demonstrably vulnerable people in our community. And it doesn't matter if someone else steps up to provide the funding or if 100 people step up to provide the funding. What matters is that the city of Ellensburg has sent the message in response to ignorance and misinformed arguments that these students aren't worth the money. I tried to speak about notifying parents. That was the original issue. OSPI's guidance is not to do that. It's between parents and their kids. Schools don't do that. You guys shouldn't be doing that. Once again, thank you for reconsidering. I'm frankly surprised and pleasantly surprised. Thank you.
Row 3, 2. Third in on row 3. Yep. Okay.
Andrew Clinton County. I rise this evening to speak about the $1,400, the final destination of it. It was originally designed for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Please grant me a slight bit of grace. It's at the end. First and foremost, DEI at the core of the ideology is based solely on skin color and sexual preference, both of which are fully protected by the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I am. My suggestion is at the end. It's a great suggestion
first and tie it back.
Okay. I suggest that the $1,400 be placed into a financial bucket that will not dissolve in 2025. Read the tea leaves. Get with the program.
Okay, row 3. Anybody else in row 3?
Julianne Clement, Kittitas County resident. I would like to speak as a parent of former children that are of children who were formerly students at EHS from 2014 to 2019. I can assure you that the high school or the school district's inability or unwillingness to actually enact its bullying policies have extended far into the past. I had a daughter who did not want to go to school her freshman year because of what she witnessed, the bullying. So she was traumatized by watching bullying. And I can assure you that it wasn't just LGBTQ students. I did not know what to do. I just encouraged her to try to be positive. Then she eventually went to her counselor, and that counselor reached out to me and was able to help me understand what was happening with my daughter and what was happening within the school. I was very thankful that the school counselor was able to intervene and help both of us. My objection to Pizza Klatch not having parental consent or even parents knowing that what's going on in it is that because the counselor reached out to me, I was able to work with my daughter. I think that this type of support needs to be funded by the school district. And I would encourage the council, if you want to fund something, that it needs to be funded for every person that attends Ellensburg High School, because it is a very difficult environment for children to witness bullying of any kind. My daughter was actually sexually harassed, and when she wrote a poem about it and posted it on Facebook, her bully was actually complained to the principal, but my daughter was the one called into the principal's office. My understanding is that the bullies are supposed to be counseled, but that's not happening within the school district.
So that's feedback for the school district.
And also to what you tend to fund. If you're going to fund something, it needs to not just be for one group of students. It should be for a robust counseling program for all students and to be able to work with parents. To me, it's unconscionable to take the parents out of the picture when their child is struggling with something. And perhaps what they need is family counseling or just for a counselor to reach out and help them be able to work with their child. And that is why I do not support funding a DEI program, because it's not inclusive of all students who are being traumatized by bullying in any school district. Thank you.
Anybody else in row 3?
Yeah, I can be rich, but you stepped down my First Amendment rights, so we're leaving.
Okay.
Plenty more.
Row 4. Row 4 over here.
Hey there, I'm Allison Dermond. I'm a resident of the city, and I have all kinds of notes I've been scribbling, but it's been already stated so well that I think I'll just make a few additional points. I really appreciate that you're reconsidering the decision. I am in support of the program being funded. I do think that it's unfortunate that you took an opportunity to fund DEI and use that as a clever chance to reduce diversity, equity, and inclusion. The GoFundMe really fixed your error. It wasn't meant to replace the funds. It was meant to show our LGBTQ youth that we value them, that they are loved and cared for in our community. I really want to challenge everyone to consider why our LGBTQ youth maybe can't get parental consent or approval to attend a pizza lunch with their friends. The answer to that question says a lot more about the adults than it does about any of the youth. It seems like some of us have become bullies to our community's children, so they really are getting it from all angles. I think something that you could do to really turn this around is replace that fund and replace that money. And it's not because we need it. Our community rallied to fix the error that this council made. But what our kids need, what our children of our community needs, is to know that the city is welcoming and that they all have a home and a place here. So thank you for your time and for reconsidering the funds.
Okay, and I think we're getting close to halfway and we'll keep going with speakers. Again, we're not going to impose rules on the school district. So debating that doesn't really solve anything. What we're looking to get feedback on is your perception of the efficacy of the program and, you know, do you think this is something the city should support? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, IT wanted me to remind you that there are people online still wanting to comment.
Yeah, I've only got a couple more. So I'm going to get through some of the audience first.
They may not be signed up.
What's that?
They may not have signed up originally, so they may not.
How many do we have? I'm trying to mix this in. 4 or 3? Okay. Okay. No, I'm going to keep going through the audience. So we were 4th row. I'm working this direction. I'm sorry, I can't see who's next.
Real quick, for those that are outside the chambers, there are a couple seats inside if you want to sit down. Just offering that for those that have been standing for a long time.
So we are going 4th row, moving that direction. So on this side, 4th row. Keep going. Okay, 4th row. Okay, thank you.
Marisa Plu, I'm a resident of Kittitas County. I've been involved with CWU. I got my education there. I am a professional educator also. So here's another one for the record. In the classroom, there was a lot of bullying. I've looked at Pizza Clatch's website. One person in here who gave comments said that they are not Thurston County. But having the same name as Thurston County, I think a person has to look at that and look at their website. So I spent the day looking in there, digging around, trying to find resources, trying to find answers to my question. As a parent who believes very strongly in the rights of parents to be able to be involved with their children in very life-changing decisions that those children have to make. These are decisions as a young child that they need their parents' support.
So Teresa, we're going to focus on the program itself, not the parental consent.
Anyways, Pizza Clatch's website in Thurston County does not list its resources that I can find. If anybody in City Council can find it to me or anybody else, you're welcome to get a hold of me and tell me what your resource list is. Until that resource list is as inclusive as Pizza Clatch claims, on its website. And I say they have a lack of transparency and they're a little bit dishonest about their program. And that concerns me, and it concerns other parents in this community that are concerned about Pizza Clatch. I hear a lot of neighbors here that I can embrace, but I have a concern about their lack of resource list. I want to see if there are children who have went through the surgeries that are very serious and have lifelong medical consequences. And I want to see that they're on the resource
We're going to
list
focus
too.
specifically on the
If they're
pizza
not on
program.
the resource list, I really don't want you to support it.
Hey, no comments from the audience. So what kind of resource list are you referring to?
It says resources. At your last city council meeting, the first person who opened the presentation from DEI spoke about Pizza Clatch offering resources to the students, I thought. And then somebody, I thought that you said at the last city council meeting that it wasn't about providing resources. It was just about eating pizza and giving kids a place, a space to feel like themselves and that everybody would be included. I think everybody can support that type of an organization, and I do. But I'm concerned about the resource, and I think the parents want to know what's on that resource list. So if Pizza Clatch can come forward with the resource list, that would really help people. And I have a hard time with funds being spent on something that transparency doesn't seem to be there on that issue. And I want to see that
Thank you,
there's
Teresa.
detransitioning
Done with 3 minutes.
resource and support.
Hi, I'm Sarah Norton and I live in the county, but my daughter did graduate from the Ellensburg High School and I'm just representing myself. And I'm just here to voice my support to the council members who voted to defund the Pizza Clatch. I watched the meeting on December 2 and agree with them that taxpayers' money should not be going to support the Pizza Clatch, which meets with LGBTQ students during lunch at the Ellensburg High School. This group intentionally will not share any information about the group with parents. My question is, who are these people that are coming into our high school? I assume there are LGBTQ clubs already in the high school that are facilitated by teachers or other paid employees of the school district. These employees are accountable to the school district for what they say and do. The Pizza Clatch organization promotes on their Facebook page a group that is recruiting drag performers between the ages of 12 and 23 to perform at a fundraiser. You know, recruiting 12-year-olds to perform drag is really, I think, beyond the sensibility of most parents in Ellensburg. And, you know, this is the Pizza Clatch recruiting drag performers here? I don't think so. You know, I don't think that's likely. But when everything is so secretive, we don't know. Is there any accountability to what they do or say? Really, that's my question. And then I know that the justification used for the funding of the Pizza Clatch is that LGBTQ students have been bullied at the high school and need extra support. And I understand what it is like to be bullied. I was bullied when I was in middle school and on into high school. You know, it isn't really just LGBTQ students who are bullied. Mentally handicapped, the disabled, students of different races are all subject to bullying. It is a big problem. And for me, I think I was bullied because my family was poor and I was somewhat different because I was raised by my grandparents. You know, so for this city to just single out one group to offer special support to, I don't think is right. Don't all bullied students deserve support? You know, so really, I would suggest that if you're using taxpayers' money, you should be helping everyone and not just one special group. And actually, when I was back in school, I wished that there were more support for me, and there really wasn't. So I'm glad that this.
Thank you, Sarah.
Am I finished?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you.
Anybody else in row 4? Okay, we've been at it for an hour and a half. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And if you need to step outside and cool the room off, that'd be good. Let's open the doors up a little bit. So back in 5 minutes, please.
Sure. I'm gonna take one of those. Oh, sure. Help yourself. Sure. Do we have an executive session tonight?
I don't believe so.
I would be merciful.
No, I don't think so.
That's good.
27 overall.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yes.
See how-
Start speaking.
You do. I do.
You haven't been raised.
I'm late for you, so.
I'm not been raised any.
I'm late, not my district, not my problem. Was to be on the Parks and Rec Commission. Hi, Dan, it's good to see you. I will. Nice to meet you. You have to be a city resident to be on the Parks and Recs.
I think they have a position that is not a city, not
It's probably not one of the ones that's open.
Yeah, I think the majority of the positions are city residents. I think there's one, there was.
I'm just gonna, obviously, we know what the decision is. So.
Yeah. No.
Like, I'll pay attention to crazy.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to tell Josh. He's busy. They thought I was gonna come up and.
Jennifer. Watch out.
We are here for your support, Josh, but I'm gonna take off. Not my, if it was my district, I'd be a lot more concerned. But
Yeah.
I've been going to school board meetings for 17 years, so I can tell exactly how.
Yeah.
Whatever, it is what it is. But
Yeah. Just always doing something. How about you? Any fun vacations lately? Oh. Got time for a cruise or something? Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah. I wasn't able to. Yeah. That training, I had to just. Oh, dang it. You only have that
Grab a seat.
Like, thank you, why? It's you.
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. But I'm not 100% sure I know.
Everybody can please grab your seat. We're gonna start back up. Sam, if you would queue up the first person online.
Need to know.
I don't want to give anybody's seat away, but it appears we lost some people in the audience. For people out in the lobby, this will probably make everybody mad. But there are some seats if you guys want to come on in. And if you're coming in and intend to speak, you're going to have to help me keep track of you at the end of after we move through the rest of the rows audience. Okay, we're going to pull the first person online. Okay, nobody's online right now. We're going to go to row 5 and we'll work from this side over. So go 5 rows back and we're starting on the west side. There we go.
My name is Ron Brecken. I'm from Kittitas County. I don't live in Ellensburg, but I do have property here. I used to run Ellensburg Recycling. First of all, I want to thank each of you for being on the city council so I don't have to be here. Even though we're in the hot seat tonight, you guys often aren't. I appreciate what you do. Thank you. I think the thing I feel about this whole issue is that these people that go to Helen House and the Pizza Clutch are just members of our community. And some of them might need a little more help than other people. And if we are among the ones that are fortunate and can help them, I think we should. So I believe the city council really should fund that. It's not much. We have a lot more funding now, thanks to some people in the audience who did the GoFundMe. And so that takes the pressure off of you. But what I want to stress is these are people in our community that need some help. And one of the examples that I would point to is that we had a member of our community who was gay and was pretty isolated, I think, in the community, and yet he gave a lot to our community. He was very active in theater. He was strong. He was independent and proud of himself. And he had his tires slashed at EHS. He had a lot of threats, and he still was a remarkable person. And so he's kind of my hero, and I want you to support our heroes. And I think this is just part of our community, and it's a part that's vulnerable. And so I think I want each of you to maybe take one step further forward for them because they need the help. I thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, hold on. Okay, row 5, we're moving east.
Okay.
All right.
For the audience members, when she's done speaking, if you guys want to, there's seats in here if you want to, for the people out in the lobby. Go ahead.
No, thank you. Hello, everyone. Amber Hofer. I live in Ellensburg, and I'm here as a private citizen, but I am also a member of the DEI Commission. A lot of the points that I was going to discuss have been raised, so for the sake of time, I'm going to just graze through. First, I really appreciate the clarification on the city council role, and so thank you for that in this discussion and leaving the structure with the school district and focusing on the need for supporting our youth. So to start, LGBTQ youth face disproportionate rates of bullying, mental health challenges, and isolation, as we have heard. And so this isn't an opinion, it's a measurable fact. And so I highly encourage you all to vote in the positive to reinstate their funding. Sorry, I'm going through my notes. Okay, so I will leave you with this. Even though this has become an overly politicized debate about whether a program should exist or not, I encourage you to focus on who matters in the community. We're a stronger community when we come together to lift up those who are most vulnerable. So restricting the funding for this program sends the harmful message that the well-being of LGBTQ+ youth is negotiable, and it weakens our community's commitment to focusing on equity, empathy, and being supportive of one another. We've all witnessed a community response and seen the financial support for Pizza Clutch, and so we know that the money is there. But this is more of a conversation about principle and who matters. So my question for the council is, do LGBTQ youth matter to you? I hope the answer is yes, and I urge the council to vote yes to reinstate the funding to prove it. Doing so affirms our shared values as a community and demonstrates that we all deserve dignity, respect, and the opportunity to thrive. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elise May, and I'm a resident of Ellensburg. And I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I do know that there are no resources being given out at Pizza Clutch. And the person who actually runs the program has spoken this evening, and she is the director of Helen House, and her name is Amanda.
Thank you. Row 5 on this side. Anybody else want to speak? Hey, let's turn off our phones, please. I did that this Smithsonian one time. I couldn't turn the stupid thing off. You're up.
Hi there. I'm Denise Martin. I'm from Ellensburg. I'm here to address the use of our taxpayer dollars now or at any time in the future for the funding of any program involving minors without parental consent, which is part of our Constitution of the United States that you have all sworn to uphold, infringes upon our constitutional parental rights. Under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment.
We're going to focus on our support of the program. We're not going to make a decision about parental consent.
Right, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Okay. Under Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, the Supreme Court has repeatedly upheld the fundamental right of parents to make decisions about their children's care, custody, and control, and to direct their children's upbringing and education. Principally, the law's concept of the family rests on the presumption that the parents possess what a minor child lacks in maturity, experience, and capacity for judgment required for making difficult decisions. The court concluded that parents can and must make judgments about their own children's needs, and the state is forbidden to infringe on our rights to make decisions concerning the care, custody, and control of our children. In 1944, the Supreme Court declared it is cardinal that the custody, care, and nurture of the child reside first in the parents, and the state shall not insert itself to further question the ability of the parents to make the best decisions concerning the rearing and education of that parent's child. Also, government entities are forbidden from silencing a parental viewpoint that they disagree with on religious, political, or social grounds. The House of Representatives affirmed the fundamental right of parents to direct the education of their children is firmly grounded in the nation's constitution and traditions. Because the Pizza Clutch is a program that's catering to a sexual minority of students, the common denominator is sexual in nature. And that raises eyebrows, especially in a time where people in education are being accused of sexual liberties and abuses with minors, and pizza and sex trafficking go hand in hand in the media. It's natural for parents to be leery or downright scared of things that are sexual in nature in regards to their children, especially if they are intentionally excluded from it. Parental consent, especially in this situation,
Denise.
is our constitutional
Denise.
parental right.
Denise, I need you to stop for a second.
I'm getting there.
I need you to stop for a second. You're taking a long time to get there, so get to the point, because the parental consent is not up for debate here.
I believe the taxpayer dollars should never be used to usurp or infringe upon our constitutional parental rights. And I caution you to avoid using taxpayer money to fund anything now or ever in the future that keeps parents from knowing what their minor children are doing in our educational system.
Thank you. Okay, next up. That's your 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Stanovich. I'm a resident of Kittitas County, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. If the question of this agenda item is, should this program be funded by the city of Ellensburg? My answer would be no. I agree with the council's original decision, and I just think they should stick with that one. I'm not being hateful, but I feel there should be more transparency with the program. And I understand, I looked it up, there's more other resources that are available. And I do believe that funding this program sets a precedence of an endorsement. And I really appreciate that you made the right decision on December 2nd. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving east in row 5. Anybody else before you? In 5. Did you come in from outside? Yeah, we're going to catch up you guys at the thing. I'm just trying to keep track of everybody.
Hello, my name is Molly McNamara, and I'm a resident of Ellensburg, Washington. And I would like to speak in favor of the program. I like to thank the council for reconsidering the funding, and I think this is a really important safe space for kids, and our youth are really important. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else in row 5? Okay, we're moving to row 6, back over here. Coming across the back of row 6, raise your hand if you're interested. You're 7, I think, right?
One on one.
Hi, my name's Anastasia Reichel, and I have been a member of Ellensburg community since September of 2019. I'm gonna read from my phone because anxiety is real. Dear city council members, neighbors, it is such a small but substantial community. In such a small but substantial community, respect for all and accurate representation for all is important. It is hard to hear hurtful stereotypes and misunderstanding in such a diverse and complex community. Misrepresentation of others we may not personally understand or agree with can be a challenge. It's easy to throw out trigger words, go up in arms, and rather than have a mature, open-minded, and respectful conversation. I love the work I've done in many facets of the community, and each piece is a valuable and serves the needs of one or more of our neighbors, even when I don't see the value in it. Helen House is a safe place for so many people trying to figure out life and know they are not alone. Tours are offered to anybody interested. All volunteers are background checked, and there's always appropriate supervision. I'm sorry, the presence of Pizza Clutch within the school is no exception. Pizza Clutch is a neutral space for students and allies that provides pizza and support for those who choose to attend. It's giving the students the opportunity to learn about the community. As a person who is blessed to be part of Helen House, the biggest gifts Helen House has offered to me personally is a place to grow, ask questions, make mistakes, and create a better world for the next generation. Please consider this an opportunity to try to learn, understand, and grow together rather than apart. Thank you for your time and ears on this important matter.
Row 6, east side. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to, I think we're in the back row, correct? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. So everybody that kind of came in from the lobby area, we're going to catch you after I get across the back row and we'll start working backwards again.
Wow. Okay. So, hi, my name is Pamela Lewis. I never get up in front of people because it scares crap out of me. So it's really important to me. That's why I'm here. I live in Ellensburg and I've lived in many places all over Washington. And as a person who did not feel safe to speak to my parents about a lot of things. Groups such as this in my high school and college were so important for me and kept me safe, helped me with my mental health. And these things are really important for the youth. And they also teach things often like about consent. When everyone in my life was telling me that I had to have sex, these were the people telling me that I didn't have to do that. These are the LGBTQIA community is generally the safest and most supportive community that you will find for people to just be supportive and healthy and allow people to express themselves in a healthy way and be themselves and find ways to express their depression and other things in a healthy way and in order to not self-harm and other things, and also to like find peer support. And I'm sorry, I'm not very articulate and I will try to finish very soon. But I just really want you to know that like when your kids cannot come to you or their church, these kinds of groups are where they can find safe space and support among themselves. And they're not going to go there to find somebody to bang. That's not really what this is about. This is usually where they go to find support and talk about their problems with people because they can't find that somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
My name is Chris Bentley. I'm a little nervous. I am a resident of Ellensburg. I'm also a provider, medical provider. I really appreciate your reconsideration for the support of the Pizza Clutch. I would like to remind the council that very nervous. Gay and lesbian youth have a 4 times higher rate of suicide attempts. I think $1,400 is nothing. I think if we lost one child in our community, that would be a travesty, and definitely for it. Thank you.
Anybody else in the second to last row? We're gonna go to the back row over on the west side.
And there are 3 online now.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So first time here at a council meeting. My name's Lyle Smith and I'm a resident, Kittitas County resident and business owner here in town. thank you. I want to say thank you to you guys. I'm here, my wife and I are here to support you guys and kind of listen in on this. I'm a little confused on what I've heard tonight because, man, it seems like everybody's well supported here. Like, this is a good turnout, well supported turnout. Candace Comfort stated some pretty clear facts at the beginning of this meeting. Couldn't hear her well in the back row, but it sounds like to me the high school can't even accept the funds based off of what they wrote on their paper. So with that said, wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I wanted to come up here and say, look, I sat in the back row and I wrote out a few things real quick. Hopefully this just bing, bam, boom, and will help make this decision, but everybody needs support, all groups. I don't care race, what have you, everybody needs support. But from what I've learned, I've heard no groups are being funded at the high school by the city currently, correct? As far as you guys know, can I ask you questions? I'm here just to talk to you. Are you guys funding any groups?
That I'm going to defer to.
Are you guys funding any groups at the high school right now?
I don't believe we are, and yeah.
Okay. And then also the high school's rules say they cannot accept money from the city. My kids were in sports and other activities, some of them not too exciting, 4-H sewing, things of that sort, some sports clubs that were private sports clubs. And guess what? When they needed money, they had to go raise the money, right? They had to go knock on doors and raise the money. That's just the way it works. And so there was also a city DEI commission because there was 4, I think, that spoke. So, right, City of Ellensburg, DEI commission. That to me means the city cares about diversity, right? So that's well supported here tonight even. And so again, back row observation. So to me, the right thing, and just very simple thing, is to stick with your original decision to not fund the pizza party. That's it. And it's not a hate thing. It's not that nobody's mean. It's just rules. It's just kind of common sense from what I've heard. And then go from there. Thank you, guys.
Okay, back row, moving east.
Right, 2 is in the back row, Owen Blauman, resident of Ellensburg. I'm not on any board, but I am a taxpayer. Tonight, there's been a lot of opinions, views, and feelings. This topic is about community as a whole. Members of the community have come together and funded this program, and I applaud them. I would, however, ask the council not to fund, but offer a proclamation supporting this organization. Thank you.
Mr. Eastman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nope. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. My name is Hondo. I am a CU student. I'm a 4th year and I sit as one of the student board of directors, but I'm not here tonight on behalf of ASCU or CU. I'm here on behalf of just as a human being as a whole. As somebody who has struggled to find my community, to hear that there is a community here and a program here in Ellensburg to support our students, that is amazing to me. I came from Auburn, if anybody doesn't know where that is, in an environment of where if you wanted to be who you were ridiculed and treated poorly. Didn't matter if your parents were involved. My parents chose, specifically my mother chose to disown me in college after it took me so many years to figure out who I was. If I would have been able to have the program like this and when I was in high school, I would greatly appreciated it because it took me a lot of things and a lot of trial and error to figure out who I was. This program, to my understanding, is was within the high school. No high school would bring in a program that would be a detriment and danger to our students. As someone who wants to be an educator, I hope that the students in my classrooms will feel safe enough that they can be who they are. So I would advise the council to sincerely and severely support this program. Because it's not, as we've seen, we have the funding for it, but we need the support to show that we support those of us who are part of this community. Thank you.
Anybody else in the back row? Okay, I'm going to catch online. Can you pick somebody online? You can go ahead and unmute yourself, Stevana.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead and just introduce yourself, city, county, other resident, and go ahead and start.
Lovely. Thank you. My name is Savannah Ilitembi O'Brien. I'm a resident of Ellensburg. I'm also the co-director of Helen House. Apologize that I couldn't be there in person. I'm stuck with a hospital visit for a cat on the west side. I have a lot of notes as well as a lot of other folks, but I think with a lot of what I was planning on saying has been said by a lot of other folks in the community. So I would just like to highlight maybe two things, and I should start with I am urging City Council to reconsider voting in favor of supporting to fund the program and reinstating the DEI Commission's $1,000 allocation for the Pizza Clutch program. In terms of whether or not this is an effective program, this is a highly, highly effective program from our perspective at Helen House. This program allows us to give safe space to LGBTQ plus students, their friends, their allies. It's not restricted just to folks in queer community. It does this once a week at a very, very low cost, and it does it very effectively for up to 30 and 40 students every time my director, Amanda, and the other community members go in to the high schools. So this is a really effective program. It's a really effective way and effective use of dollars in terms of getting that safe space created in the high school, which as we've heard from a lot of folks today, is sorely needed in the high schools, both in terms of just being queer and being a teenager is really hard, but particularly in a school system that's had a lot of challenges with bullying, it's really vital that we provide that space. So reinstating that funding, which is very the dollars aren't necessarily needed at this point, but the vote of confidence from City Council in where the DEI Commission wants to elect to send that money in order to support important programs in our community is really, really vital. And I think if this is a program that's been running for a full year, it's been funded by the DEI Commission for a year, it's proven its effectiveness at giving students that safe space to build community. It is a program that is fully supported by the superintendent, the principal, the staff at EHS, and it's done in conjunction with them and with full transparency with everything that should go on in a high school. There's nothing secretive here. The wonderful people at EHS who work with us have reiterated this time and time again. Would just really want to encourage City Council to vote to reinstate this funding. If we remove this funding, it sends a really clear message that City Council isn't interested in supporting queer and trans youth in our community, and voting to reinstate that funds sends a really clear message to youth in our community that you support them regardless of their sexuality and gender. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we're going to take care of people who are in the room that weren't in the room originally that want to speak. No repeats.
Good evening. My name is Eloise Eklund, and I'm a student of the Ellensburg High School, and I wanted to express my disappointment in the City Council's decision to remove the funding from the Pizza Clutch. As a student of Ellensburg High School, I can speak from experience when I say that my high school has a hateful and mean environment. By removing our city's funding, you are siding with the oppressor. Now, although that may not have been your intentions, in a way that does not matter because the consequences of your actions are the same. I believe that our community needs to be a welcoming and accepting environment of all students and humans of any sexuality, color, or gender. And by removing this very small amount of funding from your budget, you are sending a clear message that you are not supportive of these groups and these minorities. And I believe that is a hateful message that I do not think Ellensburg should be sending. Thank you.
Anybody else in the room that has not had an opportunity to speak that wants to?
Good evening. My name is Juniper, and I'm a Ellensburg City resident. I want to express my disappointment in this council for considering the removal of this budget on December 2nd, because as many people in this room has spoken already, it is not a matter of funding. It is a matter of setting an example, especially coming from the leadership of this very town. As other people in this room have mentioned, there has been a lot of hate and bullying and harassment in the EHS school district. And I recently met up with a friend who graduated from that school district, and they have described to me not only both experiences that they have faced, but also people who have been bullied and even sexually harassed for being part of the LGBT community. Students of this identity need a safe place, like inside the building of their school, to be able to connect with friends and have a safe place to where they feel that they can feel okay, even for a moment. There have been multiple reports over the past several years in this school district of students running away, students not wanting to come to school, and even suicide. And so this matter for the Pizza Clutch funding is not simply just about one simple program. It's about whether our community can support those that are struggling the most. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room who has not spoken yet?
Hi, my name's Carol Cox. I'm a resident of Ellensburg and a business member. I just came out tonight to say that I support the LGBTQ community. I support this program. I support inclusiveness, and I support our youth. And I would, as a taxpayer, I can't think of a better spending $1,400. It's I support that, and I support pizza.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Kalina Wyman, and I've been in Ellensburg for about 3.5 years now. And first, I would like everyone to think about, before COVID, what they were doing on their high school lunch, regardless of their sexuality. So, the idea that students, regardless of what identity they have, what color, what ability they have, this is something that should be emulated to other students. And it seems like the efficacy is not questioned at all, but the idea that it's taking away from students, which is not the argument that's being had here, because those who want to take away are not proposing different ideas or different ways that this money should be funded, but it's proposing ways on how it should not be spent when it is $1,400. But also, it's pizza, guys. They're gonna find, like, the way that things are going, especially post-COVID with the online forums, our community and drug use, our community has much more bigger issues than knowing that students will be sitting in a room on campus during lunchtime instead of running rampant, doing a lot of things that teenagers did pre-COVID. So that's just something, regardless of sexuality or identity, kind of thinking of every child in our community. They're not children, they're also teenagers. And if anything, this should be emulated to other identities if this is an issue that people have. So thank you.
Anybody else in the room?
Hello, I'm Mayor Richard Hink, City of Kittitas. I've come in support of the council. As we all are sitting here making a very tough decision, I'd like to point out that 18,463. That's the population of the city of Ellensburg. That is the weight on the shoulders of these folks up here. They have taken the time to hear both sides, and regardless of how they decide, they care because they are allowing this time to be held. So I applaud the city council for that. And I would like to tell you that you guys are doing a wonderful job, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Courtney Garzone, Ellensburg resident, community behavioral health social worker, and queer person. I don't have children, but I happily pay taxes to support your children's public school education. Community is about supporting each other, even if I don't see a direct benefit to myself. Community is harm reduction. Decisions like this one to stop funding a safe space for queer and trans kids and their allies to gather are made in the futile effort to protect parents' rights. They cause direct harm to already marginalized queer kids, to the community as a whole, and to the queer adults who have tried to stay hopeful that things will be easier for the next generation. It doesn't have to be this way. The DEI Commission did not make this recommendation on a whim. It came from a place of understanding, experience, and knowledge. Their job is to identify the gaps in equity in the city, and they have done just that. Allowing yourselves to listen to the disinformed rhetoric while disregarding the DEI's Commission recommendation is a mistake, and it will harm vulnerable SOGI children. The decision isn't a compromise. It's not a happy medium. It was a direct statement that protecting safe spaces for marginalized kiddos is not a priority of this city or its council. The decision catered to the hypothetical and political whims of fearmongers instead of the safety and well-being of actual Ellensburg High School children who, per the investigation of the DOJ Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office, are currently enduring widespread harassment, including taunts, intimidation, humiliation, epithets, slurs, and death threats. Some students are also physically assaulted by other students at school. It also stated LGBT students endured widespread, ongoing, and severe sex-based harassment by their peers, including gendered slurs, public graffiti, and intimidation. Let kids be kids. Your parental rights do not diminish another person's civil right. The DOJ's recent investigation said a school should be a place where students feel safe and supported. This should be true for all students. So let kids sit down with their friends and have pizza in a safe space. There's no curriculum or agenda behind these gatherings, and no one is indoctrinating your kids. Most queer kids don't even know how they identify, let alone want to discuss it with peers in school. They just want to be in community and to have a safe space where it's okay to be different and uncertain, but most importantly, where acceptance and understanding are prioritized over fear and judgment. For concerned parents, the only thing keeping your kids from being open with you is you. If you provide a safe space of open-mindedness and acceptance for your kid to feel comfortable approaching you about all the important things that a child experiences, your kid will be open with you, listen to them, and trust their knowledge of themselves. Funding an inclusive program for queer kids and allies endangers no one. A parent being unaware of who their child sits with endangers no one. But choosing not to support a group of children who have experienced severe bullying and harassment puts a whole community of people in danger and at exponentially higher risk of suicide and substance abuse. In the wise words of one Nancy Loquist, 14 to 18 is an incredibly vulnerable time, and everyone is exploring their sexuality in one form or another, whether they're heterosexual or homosexual, whatever their sexuality is. And if we can save a suicide by creating a space for belonging, it's probably worth that amount of money. Healthcare decisions can be made by minors in the state at the age of 13. So you can go to outpatient mental health or substance use treatment at 13. Sports come with a risk of injury, and field trips have all sorts of liability concerns because they're students being taken off of campus. Comparing those activities to a lunchtime gathering is just a false equivalency. And I really, really encourage you to please vote in favor of supporting funding for the Pizza Clutch.
Thank you, Courtney. And that was really fast. So awesome. I talk fast. Okay. Anybody else in the room that has not spoken yet? Okay. So we're going to start pulling people from outside. Yep.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Trenton DeBoer, Kittitas County, speaking for myself. Thought Mr. Smith brought up a great point, talking about funding programs that are funded by the council or by the city. In the school district, there are none, correct?
So I'm actually going to correct that, actually. Okay. And there are, we have a history of funding a number of programs for high school students over the years, and they're generally through our grant programs. And I don't have the list in front of me, but there are several.
But right now we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the equity, if the council approves this to provide funding for this lunch, it will not be inclusive to 4-H groups, the robotics club, the baseball club, the Christian Bible study group, or the Muslim Quran study. So by choosing this group to provide the funding for, we're not being equal. That's where I'm at. And I would not support this. Thank you.
Anybody else out in the lobby? Online? Go ahead and put one up. It's 2 more. Go ahead, April.
Thank you. My name is April Selden. I am a Kittitas County resident and therefore a taxpayer. I am glad that the council is reconsidering their decision to provide funding for the Pizza Clutch program. I just wanted to say that I think it's a very important program that absolutely should be funded. I think that what we've heard a lot tonight is that the importance of building community. And I think that we, as an Ellensburg community, should really be focused on that. And I think that Pizza Clutch absolutely does that. So I hope that you reconsider and provide funding for this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's pull the last offline or online one. Go ahead, Candy.
Hi, I'm Candy Cleary. I'm an Ellensburg resident. I'm also on the DEI Commission, but I'm speaking for myself. Supporting LGBTQ plus safe spaces for teens is crucial for fostering a more inclusive, supportive, and community characterized by belonging. This space offers teens, particularly those who are LGBTQ plus, a sense of safety and community during one of the most formative periods of their lives. Adolescence is a time for self-discovery, and for LGBTQ plus teens, this journey can be complicated by fear of rejection, bullying, or even violence due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. By providing safe spaces, we create environments where these teens can express themselves freely without fear of discrimination. Such spaces promote mental well-being by reducing the anxiety and stress that often accompany societal stigma. Studies consistently show that LGBTQ plus youth who have access to supportive environments are less likely to experience depression, anxiety, or suicidal ideation. In fact, the existence of safe spaces has been linked to improved self-esteem, a greater sense of belonging, and enhanced academic success. These positive outcomes are not just beneficial for LGBTQ plus teens, they also help to reduce the risk of unhealthy coping mechanisms and long-term mental health issues. Moreover, these spaces serve as educational tools for everyone, not just LGBTQ plus individuals. They offer allies and others the opportunity to learn about LGBTQ plus issues, gain empathy, and challenge misconceptions or prejudices. This cultivates a culture of acceptance and respect where young people are encouraged to be their authentic selves regardless of societal expectations. Finally, supporting these spaces is an act of advocacy for equality and human rights. Every teen deserves to be valued, heard, and respected. By protecting LGBTQ plus safe spaces, we are reaffirming our commitment to a community where all young people, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, can thrive. Kind of in conclusion, the importance of LGBTQ plus safe spaces cannot be overstated. These spaces are not just places for protection, they're places for growth, healing, education, and empowerment. They give LGBTQ plus teens the tools and the confidence to embrace their true selves, laying the foundation for more compassionate, inclusive futures. It is important to mention it isn't really about the funding. It's about how city leaders live their espoused values. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else online, correct? Okay. And is anybody else in the audience who has not spoken wanting an opportunity to speak? Okay. Go ahead. You've not spoken? Okay.
Not spoken yet.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Henrik Barlow.
I am a resident of Ellensburg and I go to Ellensburg High School. Pretty much it's just $1,400. Like it's not a crazy big amount of money. I feel like it just shows that you like appreciate this part of the community and you want to like provide for them, which I think is very important. I don't know, I go and it's just like a bunch of like, just nice people who want to have like a space where they can talk because, a lot of them, or at least some of them, don't really have that. Like some of them just do not have a place to be able to talk. And, it's a nice place and, free pizza. It's nice. It's pretty much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close out the public comment section, and I normally either don't speak or I usually go last, but I'm going to go first in this case. I actually pushed the amendment last time, and just like probably both sides of this issue realize, or maybe don't realize, but you feel like your motives have been attacked, and I'll explain my thinking. During the meeting, it became very clear that we began to speak about things and debate things that had nothing to do with the core issue, which was, do we take the DEI Commission's recommendation and implement it? Obviously, there was an opportunity to potentially amend that. And just for the record, we are not talking about $1,400. We are talking about the $1,000. The $400 for the listening tour is sort of a separate issue that's in front of us and was not addressed in the amendment. So we're talking about the $1,000 for the Pizza Klatch program. As the conversation devolved, and I don't mean that in quite the negative connotation that it probably comes across, but as we strayed away from the things we were supposed to be talking about, I offered an amendment to the thing, which I had somebody else do for me. That wasn't fair, with the full intention of just writing the check. And so council knew that the program was funded largely when they took their vote. So, and I apparently missed the mark in terms of the message that it sent. I was willing to fund it. I had other council members who came up to me after the meeting and indicated that they would share in that funding. This was never intended by myself, or I believe the other council members, to be a comment on a particular portion of our population or a particular a particular portion of our population. I personally believe in the program. I believe in what it does. I just had a hard time figuring out how to get past this from a procedural perspective. So I just kind of wanted to set the tone here. This is not about the council members. I mean, like I said, I had people coming up to me saying, I'll split the cost with you, or, this is important. And I also want to point out that the last couple of weeks have been very difficult. We had somebody write my speech for me, and I changed portions of the speech. One of the portions that I changed was the concept that diversity also covers opinions, ideology, and beliefs. And we have council members who were attacked personally for expressing their beliefs, and that's unacceptable. I appreciate that the audience here did a better job than most of the rest of America is doing with coming to grips with the fact that we disagree about some things. So that's all I will say. I'm assuming that the council has a lot to say about this, and then we will vote. So
Delano made the motion.
Delano, you get to go first.
Oh, go last. Since I made the motion. Anybody else wants to go?
Why don't we just start down?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh. Well,
Your red sweater.
I can't say it any better than most of the people said this evening, and I was one of the people that voted against it. So I'm going to stand where I was before, and I thank you for all the support that we've gotten from our community.
I'd like to thank Mayor Elliott for his comments, and I appreciate all the comments that we heard on both sides of this issue tonight, and thank you for coming out. you are participating in government, and that's great because that's what we need you to do. But thank you so much for your thoughtful considerations and the way you have responded to each other. I voted against the motion to start with, and because I believe funding this program is really important on a number of levels. One of which is the program itself speaks to and helps LGBTQ youth who are probably the most pestered, demonstrated against, bullied, and whatever other word you could come up that fits that description in our community. They need this program, they need this support. I fully trust those who lead the program, and I know that all they want is what's in the best interest of those kids, and they wait for kids to tell them what that is. I appreciate the motion that we can reconsider this vote, and I look forward to seeing how that turns out.
So as the maker of the motion to seek private funding for the program, it was with the knowledge that the program would be funded. I do believe it is a valuable program, and so knowing I sought a compromise. Someone said it wasn't a good compromise. Oh, that's fine. But it was a way to keep the program, but not have city funding going toward it. And I think that's still an issue that conflicts me personally. The idea that the city is sending money to the school for the program. I appreciate the folks who said lots of kids are bullied. My understanding of the program, and maybe we can get Amanda to answer questions, but is that no one is turned away. So if you're bullied for whatever reason, you can still go seek a safe space and have pizza with this program. I only learned that talking with folks after our last meeting, though. So I guess it's a question about who should be funding an important program in the schools. I guess I just want to point out, as some folks have said, it is a diverse community. My constituents include both those people that are on a gender spectrum or believe a rainbow, and then others who believe that gender is black and white and is a binary choice. And I guess it was foolish to think that there was any compromise in that split. I think our national messaging just is intended to divide us and to keep us from talking with each other. And one of the things that I really appreciated about the DEI Commission is their efforts to bring people together, to have conversations facilitated across that spectrum. And I'm going to be honest here, I've attended several of those, and I see a lot of liberals in the room, and I would really encourage those of you on the conservative side of the spectrum to come and engage and be a community. We're a small town. We need to be able to talk to each other, and you guys were awesome tonight in respecting each other and across an issue that there is not a lot of gray area apparently. So yeah, that's all I'll say now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd like to thank Councilmember Palmer for presenting the motion to reconsider, revisit. I was also prepared to make such a motion, so thanks for doing the heavy lifting. We understand, as has been said many times tonight, that there are a lot of different views on this subject. As has also been said, I'd also like to thank everyone who participated tonight for the respect that you've shown each other. We, speaking for the council, we really appreciate that. Now, I just want to be clear where I stand, and I want to reemphasize the fact that I will only be speaking for myself. I'm not assuming that other council members agree with anything I say, but I'm just going to go through it. So at our last meeting, as been stated, we had the issue come up. I opposed all of the amendments that were proposed to remove the Pizza Clutch dollars from the 2025 DEI spending plan. After that effort ultimately failed, the compromise amendment was approved. I ended up voting yes for that for one reason only. The reason was that it preserved the full $10,000 funding proposed in the DEI spending plan for 2025. And believe me when I say, the irony of that is not lost on me. The motion, flawed as it was, protected the broader program. But in retrospect, I feel that the cost of this compromise was just too great. Despite some good intentions, we let our community down at a time when it needs and deserves our support more than ever. I'm part of the council that actually created the DEI program, and I proudly stand by it. It has always been about Ellensburg being a place where everyone is welcome and feels safe. I regret that some of that was lost with our vote on December 2nd. If we now restore the funding, as I hope we can, much more work will be required to mend that. And we own that. In our last vote, as has been stated, we were unprepared. Our decision was hasty, and we should have tabled the item before action was taken, waiting for more information. The detailed information that was submitted later by the DEI Commission and the school district provided important context for our discussion, to inform our discussion and our decision-making. And thank you to both the DEI Commission and the school district for providing that to the council, and it should be part of the official record. Finally, I know, as you do, that young adults face a myriad of difficult issues every day. The simple truth is you do not have to be a parent to remember how hard those years are. For some students, there are few safe places to go where they can just be without being judged. If our funding can provide even a small amount of support for our high school students, then I think that is something we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. Delano Palmer. I really want to say, first of all, thank you. I think this is a win for democracy and what you guys were able to display this evening. This is not an easy issue, and I appreciate everyone's respect trying to hear out everybody's thoughts and opinions on this. And I hope that the rest of the state and the country could emulate what was done here this evening. And no matter the outcome of it, I challenge all of you to have those tough conversations with someone you disagree with. Embrace conflict. Embrace it. It's all right. You've demonstrated this evening that it can be done cordially, respectfully. It's something that's been missing from our country for a long time. And I'm proud of Ellensburg for trying to demonstrate what it looks like. So thank you for that. Following the vote from last time, I wanted to do some of my own research, trying to understand some details associated with it. So I'm going to speak on a couple of things real quick that I'm sure most of you already know. I went to Ellensburg High School because I wanted to go check this out and see how these clubs and organizations are organized,
where they meet, those kinds of things. So I, first of all, thank you, Ellensburg High School administrators, for allowing me to be able to do that. For those that aren't aware, there's an involvement fair at the beginning of the academic year where students get to participate and select their organizations. The organization tables are set up all throughout the cafeteria. You can go up to anyone that you want. If you don't select one there, you could do it anytime that you want by going to the activities desk. These organizations or clubs meet often during lunchtime or after school. As we kind of talked about, you know, this is where the students get an opportunity to participate with these different opportunities. And this was a choice that students make, either to participate in these or not. Just like students have the ability to participate in things that many parents wouldn't want their kids to participate: drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, and every little thing else that's out there that's on this mobile device that most of our kids carrying around. This probably has a bigger influence on them than anything that we've talked about tonight. I was part of the group that voted for the compromise amendment. And I'll tell you why. As a parent, I would want to be a part of any conversation with my child below 18 on any big thing like that may impact them. And it's simply from a place of love. So when I voted for that amendment, that compromise amendment, it's me because I felt as though if my child brought up something like this, I could be in a place with them and say, okay, let's talk about it. I'm understanding. And so what I failed to in that time is to think about the perspective of the child that may not have that support. It's not demonstrative of the parents that may not be supportive of it, because they may be coming from it from a place of love as well, just not in support of it. But I did fail to understand that perspective. The bigger part of this is over the last 2 weeks, I've had more people come up to me about this issue than any other issue that I have been involved with since sitting on this council seat. And I've only been here 9 months or something like that. And there was so much contrast associated with this, and I was so conflicted with this. And I was trying to figure out why, and I know why, and I want to share that with all of you here so you can understand my purview on this. First of all, to be very honest, I don't understand the lifestyle. I'm trying to grow. I am being more involved with people that I have never been historically been comfortable with. I am a product of the environment that I grew up with. My father taught me to love thy neighbor as thyself, but I don't want you to hang out with them. Pray for your enemies, but I'm worried about the influence that you would have being around them. My dad said those things in a place of love. And I hear a lot of the conversation in here about parents that are concerned about it. Like I said, my conversation, my vote from last time is, as a parent, I would want to be part of this conversation. But just like any parent here that has had their child grow up and go off to being an adult, you need the fear of letting your kid go out the door each day, and the influence of sex, drugs, alcohol, gangs, bullying, all those things come up. And you have to let them go. So you did it with guidance, you did it with prayer, you did it with everything that you can, but hopefully they will make the right decision. And hopefully they will return back to a place that you want them safe. Now, my dad said all those things that were conflicting. And just like I said, a lot of people have approached me on this issue and different sides of this. And I've been personally conflicted because of my faith background. But the one thing that my father did give me that I try to use as a guidance for everything, including difficult situation, is when you make commitment to an act, do you do it out of fear of what you don't understand? Or do you do it out of love of what you don't understand? So I just want to leave everybody with that. I have something for the DEI Commission as a charge after this vote that I want to discuss, because I heard the gaps in equity that I think we should address. And I'm proud of this city for the conversation we've had this evening.
So one thing about this council is that we've got 7 individuals that represent broad swaths of our community. Every single one of us have different opinions, priorities, values. We do always come up here and work together to move through issues. There's the easiest ones, the potholes, and then there are the difficult ones like this. I am a believer that the compromise vote of private funding made the most sense, and I'm probably one of the biggest fiscal conservatives up here. This isn't the first issue I've looked at from a monetary perspective and said how do we make sure that we're using the finite resources we have as a city to tackle as many issues, the biggest ones that we can. And so from that perspective, we saw our community say there was a priority and raise $7,000. That's 7 years of pizza from what I'm hearing. And that's great. Not every item that comes before the council should be funded. And it's not a matter of hate. I don't want anybody on either side to walk away from this and think that it in some way boiled down to, spend $1,000 at Pizza Hut or you hate us. I don't hate anybody. I never came into this. I never ran for office to hate. It's just not in me. But maybe my perspective is just different than a lot of people in this room, and that's okay. This is one issue of a lot of issues. From the parental rights perspective, yeah, I've got a 2-year-old, turned 2 on Saturday, that I love to death. And there, as a fairly new parent, a fear in me of the world in which I say, is there an adult that's going to come between me and my child and guide them in a direction that's different than I want to raise them? Now, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of stuff out there that's twisted things into just a hateful perspective. And I did that vote out of my love for my child and the fact that I've heard from a lot of parents that want to be in the know. Now, I have heard and I do understand that unfortunately we live in a world where we do have some parents that turn against their child when they come to them in an honest fashion. And that's wildly inappropriate. If my son came to me and said, Dad, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm feeling, I would listen. But I also would like to know. And so nothing that I have done has come from a hateful place. And I really do appreciate, I listened very intently to every single speaker that took the time to go up there. And I appreciate it. It's it's a scary place being up there by yourself with that microphone, especially in a room with I don't know how many people are in here right now, let alone watching online, let alone what will be in the paper the next day, what will be on the news the next. It takes a lot of courage, and I felt like really everybody was as respectful as we could have hoped from such an intense issue. I would be, with all that said, I would be more than happy to sit down and listen to anybody and do so with open ears. And even if we come away from that disagreeing, it's going to be from a respectful place. And I do want to hear and listen. I think Delano did a great job in expressing how we should look at each other in a different light. And I think if we can come away from this, see, we're not going to all agree on this vote, but if we can come away with a little bit of a lesson that we're going to listen to each other and be a little softer and kinder than what the last couple of weeks has been, then maybe we got more out of this than $1,000 in pizza. That would be my bigger hope for Ellensburg. So thank you again, everybody, for coming out here, taking the time, spend a few hours now braving the snow. I do appreciate everybody in this room for being themselves and putting their heart on a sleeve. So thank you.
We're not going to take any more public comment before we vote. Because it just opens up the door for 45 people. So, we have a motion on the table that has been amended. The motion that we're about to vote on.
I was going to ask if we could restate the motion.
Yeah. Can we restate the motion?
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Is to restore the $1,000 for the pizza class via the Pizza Clatch program via the amendment, and to allocate the $400 towards the listening tours, which I think was an unintended consequence of our vote last time. Okay, everybody understand that? Everybody agree that's what we're voting on?
Towards both together.
What's that?
Both together.
Yeah, because it's actually we should vote on the amendment first.
Yeah.
That's true. We should vote on the amendment first.
Yeah, there's no amendment.
There's no.
It's just the main motion that was made by Councilmember Palmer.
Okay.
To restore the full 1,400 back to the DEI.
Well, no,
Would you like me to read the
Yes.
Yeah.
motion? The motion was to move to that. We reconsider the decision made at the December 2nd meeting, approving the DEI Commission 2025 spending plan by amending the plan to include $1,000 of funding for the Ellensburg High School Pizza Clatch program and $400 for the DEI Commission listening tours.
We need more lawyers, like you said earlier. Good job. Okay, so that's what we're voting on. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
That motion passes. We'll move to item 11A.
Hey, Mayor, can I have one quick comment after?
Actually, if you're gonna put this on the agenda for the next meeting, we're not gonna, because the agenda item is specifically the spending plan.
Okay.
So
Stick around to the end then, please.
Okay. Okay. Item 11A, which is the City of Ellensburg legislative priorities. There will be an opportunity for public comment here. This is page 140 in the packet.
Right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I know
We
it's
will not be offended if you leave.
yes.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heidi Barron Sternaway, City Manager. You have before you a list of city priorities, essentially legislative priorities, as we prepare for the 2025 legislative session. The last few years, the council has adopted a list of legislative priorities. This is a list of items. It's a fairly lengthy list, and the item you see in your council packet today is sort of the full narrative. This is not something we go and hand out. This is about creating policy statement positions on issues that the legislature may have, may come before them this year, things that are very important to the city and align with our council strategic priorities as well. You're going to find some similar items as compared to previous years. We'll be talking about the field house a little bit. At this point, we won't be looking for a specific state allocation unless there's some energy efficiency dollars. We'd also like to pair and work in partnership with the Upper County Recreation Center, looking at a legislative change to the Public Facilities District item to allow for funding mechanisms that are smaller than the entire county. And so we're looking for more flexibility in case we want to use that tool in the future. We have two grant programs that we've applied for over the last several months. One of those is to purchase a property through the floodplains by design. Our property is number 11 on the list. And at this point, I believe the funding is through number 10. So asking the legislature to expand the funding for that item. We also did apply for the youth athletic facilities funding, and that's through the Recreation Conservation Office. We're actually number 27 on that list, and the projects are funded through 26. And so therefore, we're the first alternate on that, hoping for some additional funding. And I think there's some news that we might get that. And again, these are items that we would ask to advocate at the state level primarily. We're also looking at last year we had a significant section of items we talked about for energy and the Climate Commitment Act. As you recall, the legislature actually changed the rules for executive sessions to allow us to talk in executive session about our purchases for those cost allowances, which really created more transparency and accountability for those functions for the policymakers in our community. We had a list of other items that there needs to be some tweaks to the CCA policy over time, so it doesn't negatively impact or disproportionately impact small municipal gas utilities specifically and electric utilities, which we're also subject to. In addition, we added some information or some points about really encouraging the state to look at the transmission systems. If we look big picture at the energy issues that are coming before us over time, that's one of the bottlenecks in the system. And as we look at decarbonizing energy options, we know we need the transmission system in order to facilitate that. And then finally, encouraging the state as we look at electrifying and again, decarbonizing, we need to make sure we have the resources available in our communities and on the grid in order to create that. You also find some items to continue advocate at the state to fund homelessness and affordable housing policies and to keep those policies as flexible as possible so that communities like ours have the tools in the toolbox to make an impact. Our wastewater treatment plant over the next several years, we have a draft wastewater treatment plan plan available, and that's for the next 10 years. It's in draft format. The numbers aren't exact at this point, but we know that we are looking at some very significant future cost improvements between 20 and $60 million over the next 5 years, and you can add to that over the next 10 years. And so we'll have some better dollars, but at really asking the legislature to continue to have some tools in the toolbox for things like the Public Works Trust Fund and other programs to help with our infrastructure improvements over time. Just a brief overview on continuing to advocate for behavioral health resources, and then asking for the costs that continue to be transferred through to cities as the state struggles with their budget and policy issues as well, making sure we have the ability to advocate for our interest in that. So as a reminder, we are continuing to use our contract lobbyist and Josh Weiss from Gordon Thomas Honeywell. That's been a wonderful investment over time, and they'll be working with us again this year on this. And finally, just in your packet, we also included the 2025 AWC legislative priorities, just so it's at the high level to ask for your blessing that we continue to advocate for those things that are important to cities across the country. So staff would request that you would approve the legislative priorities for 2025, and I can stand for any questions.
Council, questions of staff?
Thank you for putting that together, Heidi. That the wastewater treatment is a really important one on all this. It's a extremely high priority for our city.
Further questions of staff? Anybody in the audience? Okay, so council asking for approval of the legislative priorities as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the 2025 City of Ellensburg legislative priorities.
Second.
Motion second to approve the 2025 Ellensburg legislative priorities. Any discussion?
And I'd just like to echo the thanks to staff and keeping our focus on these issues, and it's part of our long-term process. So thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. 12A, Manager's Report, page 150.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heidi Baron-Cernaway, City Manager, again here. I left in the packet, and if you want to address this tonight, you may, or it's for your information. It's the end of the year, last meeting of the year. Typically, at the beginning of the year, we look at updating our council boards and commission assignments. I think there's been some discussion about people thinking that they might want to swap out. So if you want to address that tonight, you have the list. Otherwise, if you'd like to bring that back at the next meeting, if there are changes, we can do that. And I'm seeing heads shaking. So I think we'll do that. Okay. All right. So it is in the current assignments are in your packet tonight. So let us know how we can support you in those changes. We are doing some reduced holiday hours. Those are in the packet. And Mayor Pro Tem Lilquist and myself met with a representative from the Washington State America's 250th anniversary. As a reminder, it's the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 2026. And so all the states are putting together planning committees for that. I wanted to gauge council's interest in being a part of a county-wide planning committee, and we would work with the county and other jurisdictions in order to plan some activities for 2026.
Anybody want to speak up against America? Yes, we're in.
That sounds great.
Do we need to assign someone, or is it a staff?
You may, and what I would do is I would talk with the county commissioner and some other folks, and we could look at what the timing would be for that too. And if you wanted to assign that, so I can bring it back to you. Okay, excellent.
Okay, we will move to council member reports. Councilmember Thompson.
No report for tonight.
And just to frame this, so what I'm trying to do is stay away from agenda items that aren't on the agenda. So if you want us to take action, we're going to bump it to another meeting.
That's fine.
If you want to provide direction, we can put it on the agenda for another meeting. I think that might be where we're going. So
Yeah.
just to qualify, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, this is a direction to DI commission. Do I do that post here or no?
Oh, you can do it now.
Okay, all right. This is kind of a follow-up to the conversation. I appreciate everyone is still in the room. What I heard was a lot of great conversations, and since the DEI Commission is responsible for gaps in inequity, I I appreciate that we were able to come to this resolution this evening. And I'm going to ask that we step up to those gaps in inequity. We got the funding. It's not necessary because we got private funding, but we have gaps in inequity that we kind of talked about. The things that I heard that floated to the top is I would like to see, and I don't know what this looks like. So I'm just thinking about this off the cuff. And this is where I'm going to ask citizens to help out with this formation of this within the DEI commission is that bullying support. I'm not sure what that looks like. And then also, I think that based upon the strength of our community, it would make sense to look at an interfaith coalition of some sort. There are a lot of people that are reflective of different faiths here, and our ability to maintain great communication and open dialogue and respect on all the faiths that are represented in our community is really important. So I don't know what that looks like, but I'm hoping that we have citizen participation on it because, again, I'm really proud of everybody's civil and respectful way of addressing a tough issue tonight, but we definitely need to continue the conversations on gaps in inequity. Other than that, Law and Justice will be meeting. I will catch up for that next one. Steer I-90. Steer I-90 has comments out. There's a survey available if you're interested in finding out what's the latest on the plan for the I-90 updates that essentially go through Cle Elum. For those that have been unfortunate in the traffic patterns going back to the west side on a Sunday afternoon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is trying to alleviate that. That's talking about the expansion of the highway. They're looking for feedback right now on that. So if you're interested in that, go to Steer I-90. And I apologize. I cannot remember the affordable housing. Though I know why I wasn't there. I missed it. I apologize. That's why. Those are all my comments.
David.
Let's see, no planning commission meeting in December. Last week, Arts Commission, and tomorrow I have transit.
There's an airport meeting. I attended a light curve event where they were kind of rolling out their 10,000 homes with high-speed broadband in 4 months in various neighborhoods in Ellensburg, Sela, Kittitas, Eastmont, and Thorpe. And this is a public-private partnership with the county. And that's all I need to say.
We had our DEI commission meeting last week. I have COG tomorrow, and the Utility Advisory Council meeting this month has been canceled.
All right, so lodging and tax, we did not have a meeting. We did just do our interviews for our up on our commissioners. Then and KitCom, we just have good news to report that our staffing issues are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So that's a big win for
We don't think it's a train.
Yes. So that's all I have.
Just to add on to that, we did pass the 25 budget for KitCom and its balance did not go up. That was awesome. What I would like the council to do is please, give some consideration to boards or commissions that, your knowledge of and influence may have, sort of run its course and offer that opportunity up for somebody else. And vice versa, be open to, playing poker with meeting nights and stuff like that. So have an idea which ones you could assume if they get vacated, because there probably will be a little bit of shuffling. I have heard no feedback about our proposed meeting with the Yakima Nation preferred month. I haven't gotten any.
So. Oh, I apologize. I responded back. Okay. I'm good with all 3 dates.
All good. So if you have not given, it is also, I just need to remind people, if 4 of us go, it's a little bit complicated and we have to work within the framework and sort of work with the Yakima Nation. If 3 or less of us go, there is no rule associated with our participation. So anyway, so just please give that feedback so that we can set this up with the Yakima Nation. I'd like to follow up a little bit, Delano, and maybe just make sure that whatever we need to do, because when we throw stuff out to sort of the audience, sometimes we don't get a thing back. Your perceived identification of gaps with the DEI Commission. I think we need to probably think about a timeline in 3 or 4 meetings, and in the interim, engage to make that happen. Otherwise, it'll likely get lost. And that's not cool. Thank you for replacing the flagpole holder. I did not like seeing the flag lean. And what are we talking about here?
Contact conversation, a couple of things. One,
You need to go to the thing if you're gonna.
just thinking, we're gonna move forward. I think that there's just a couple of real quick clarifications, and to Delano and Josh, I'm offering an opportunity to sit down and have coffee with both of you and just have a conversation maybe we can have a conversation around what trans is. I'm happy to do that. Okay.
Sure.
And it'll have to be after I get back from Idaho. That's where I'm going tomorrow morning. But the other thing that I want to highlight too is, because there's been a lot of misrepresentation in this when it came out, when the media took off with it, and there was a lot of different ways that it was put out. So a couple of real quick clarifications. The $7,000 that raises not 7 years of pizza. It's about $100 a week, or a little bit more than $100 a week. So $1,000 will get about 10 weeks of pizza. Okay, so that 7,000 is maybe 2 years of pizza, maybe 2.5, 3, something like that. And the other thing that I think that's important to say too is that the funding, the council is not giving money to the school, to the high school. The funding is going to reimburse Helen House for the money that they're buying the pizzas and taking to the school for the program. So I just think those two little clarifications might paint a little bit more accurate picture of what we're talking about, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. Unless anybody has anything else, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
You're out of kindness. All been used.
Well, everybody have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Is that mine?